Happy Monday morning to you. It's George Brauchler on the George Show, 710 KNUS. If you're up right now, I am sorry. I'm up right now, and I'm sorry. Little confession before we get into the weather. I somehow turned off my little watch alarm that is the thing that keeps me going in the morning. And normally I have the same routine. You probably do too. You set the alarm, it goes off. You don't hop out. I just don't spring out of bed. It takes me a little bit to get the motor going. Maybe I grab the phone. I start reading some news. Not so today. Somehow I turned off the watch alarm. I don't recall it. The next time I woke up, it was in that panic when you're like, oh my God, like what day is it? And it was after 5. And I was like, I know, man, because normally I'm rolling in here at about 5:23. And it was just like, oh my God. So I vault up. I've got to make some lunch for the kiddos. I've got to figure out a way. I took a look in the mirror. I'm like, am I good to go? Yeah. And if you're watching the YouTubes or the Rumbles right now, the answer was just simply, I don't care. Yeah, and I just flew out here.
I got a comment on that. I want to know who is the awful person who decided that the snooze button is 9 minutes.
What's that?
I want to punch that person really hard in the face.
9 minutes.
I mean, why is it 9 minutes? You can't really fall asleep. And worse than that, why don't I get control? Why can't I decide how long the snooze is? How come some person has decided it's only 9 minutes? It's not like you can actually fall asleep. It's not a snooze. You can never go back to sleep. And if you do fall back to sleep, it jars you back awake again, and you want to hit the snooze button again.
I think that's how it's supposed to work.
But whoever designed the snooze button and said it was 9 minutes is an a-hole, and I hate them. I don't care who it is, but I hate
10, 8 or 10, you couldn't do it.
What about 15? What if I want 20? Well, why can't I choose?
Listen, and only a corollary to this is when you're cleaning a hotel room, and folks, if you're out there and this is your job, just a little favor. In addition to knocking off 4 out of the 5 hairs on the commode, could you please spend some time checking to see if the alarm is set? Because there is nothing worse.
I hadn't even thought of that.
Than you go to bed in a hotel and the alarm goes off at 3:30 a.m. And I'm like, every single time you clean a room, whether the person's coming back, like, if it's an exit clean or if it's in between clean, can't you? So I find myself more often than not just simply unplugging the damn alarm. Like it goes off. I don't know which little teeny tiny button to press that's on the lower right-hand quadrant of the far side, but it's like, no one's figured this out. Like, oh, by the way, after just brushing some of the DNA off of the multicolored bed cover, go to the alarm and make sure it's off.
You've given me an idea. Now, when I stay in a hotel, I'm going to make sure I set the alarm when I leave.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine?
You know what else I do is when I'm in the hotel room, I make sure the final day that I take a shower, and then I get out of the shower and I turn the steam on really, really hot. And I make sure that the mirror fogs. And then I write a message to the next person.
Something horrific?
Yes. Just in case they don't wash the mirror. I'm just hoping. Things like, I can see you, or, you should stop doing that.
I'm under the bed.
Yes, I always do that just in case.
That seems brilliant.
Just in case. Yeah.
The alarm one, though, what if you're a young couple and you're traveling with your little infant kid and you're like, oh, finally we got him to sleep or her to sleep, and then Billy's alarm goes off at 1:30. That's the kind of thing that could lead to someone showing up at your house.
That is true. That's true. But then again, you had a little kid. The kid's probably waking up several times over the night anyway. So you're probably up
it's awful, and I don't like it. Now, let me get you up to speed on a couple things. One, I'm looking at a pictograph here. Billy, you printed this off. I don't think I've ever this summer seen just a picture of the sun. Ever.
I don't think ever.
There's always been some other thing there. Lightning bolts, cloud, wind, whatever that looks like. This one says straight up today, 99 degrees, sunny and very hot.
Which seems mean by itself.
It does.
Yeah. Just like,
I wonder if we ever had like overcast, but very hot. Have we ever had that?
I don't know.
Tuesday, 96, Wednesday, 93. There come the lightning bolts. Thursday is the lightning bolt version of today. Instead of a sun, it's just a cloud with a lightning bolt. It looks very much like Shazam on Thursday, 90 degrees. And then this is nuts, man. Friday, PM storms, it drops to 78. That's a 22 degree swing, 21 degree swing from today until Friday. And then storms on Saturday and Sunday. By the way, the storm screwed us out of baseball practice on Friday. So we went into a tunnel over at this place called Chaos, and it was still good and all that, but a little tired of the afternoon storms now that sports are coming back up.
Nice
and all
shout
that
out to Shazam. What was Shazam's original name when he first appeared in the comics?
It
he had
was
he had a different name as a hero.
No, it was Captain Marvel.
Yes, it was. Now, why?
And before that, it was Phil McCracken.
Now, why did they lose the name Captain Marvel? Why is there a different Captain Marvel in the Marvel universe? Hint:
lawsuit.
Copyright.
Oh, okay. Well, I said lawsuit. That's in the ballpark.
Yeah.
That's there.
They didn't actually copyright the name, etc., and take control of it. And so when the temporary copyright they had expired, Marvel took the name Captain Marvel for obvious reasons. And so they had to come up with a new name. That was Shazam.
Same. They were going to go to Captain Vandella, but then Martha came along and said, "I've got that one copyright.
Exactly.
You can't.
And
you can't do that."
They didn't want to do Captain Tennille, but that didn't work that well either.
Captain Tennille would be genius if you could just. Why don't we have that as bumper music? Love, love can you?
We're idiots.
Listen, the weekend here. Alexa was nice enough to text in, "Hey, how did CSU go?" Listen, it was very, very bittersweet in that Trey waved us off in the nicest way, right? Like it wasn't, I'm like, "Hey, buddy, we're all excited to come up there and we're going to go grab some lunch, and blah, blah, blah." And he's like, I said, "Do you want us to come up?" And that was probably a mistake. And he said, "You don't have to." And I'm like, whoa, what's going on? And he's like, "Oh," and finally it gets to, "Hey, a friend and I are going to go check out where his classes are and where my classes are and do the little thing." And instantly I see the word friend and I'm like, "Oh, thank God." I'm like, "You've already made a friend?" I mean, I don't know how else to ask it. And he's like, "Yeah." And then it turns into, "Hey, what'd you do last night?" This was going to be, maybe we go up on Sunday. "What'd you do last night?" "Oh, some friends and I went to Old Town." And I'm like,
Nice.
"Friends and I," I'm like, "Oh, this is I don't want to
great.
screw this up. This is magical." So postpone the trip until I think probably Labor Day weekend. They're playing, I think it's Washington State is coming into town.
That's right,
Thinking about trying to take in a game. My understanding is there will be plenty of seating available because
you might actually you and Trey might actually get to sit on the bench.
Oh,
you could be on the end of the bench and you could get a place on the bench. It is that empty.
That's great. Well, we'll try to go up there and see him then. But it was bittersweet because I'm like, "But son, I miss you and I want to come see you." And he's like, "Well, listen, if you have plans and it's already set in stone." And I was like, "That's all right, man. No, I get it. Hang out with your friends, do the thing and all that stuff." Today's first day of classes, as you know, for your boy as well.
Yeah. We had the conversation about, hey, and of course
you had the talk.
Yeah, you can't stop parenting them. And it was like, and I know my son, and I'm like, "Do you have the school supplies? Did you get the?"
Yeah.
He's like, "I'm gonna bring an old notebook and a pen." I'm like, okay.
Anything else?
Not yet. He hasn't gotten anything yet.
Does he need like a protractor or something?
I don't know yet. He's one of those kids that he'll wait and look at the syllabus and figure out what he needs to do as far as assignments in order to get the grade he wants, and also how much of the school supplies and how important he thinks the book is. He did go through a couple of classes last year and didn't even buy the book and still did just fine. So
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I hate him.
Yeah, Trey was about to buy a bunch of books when we were up there on Saturday the 12th on his 19th birthday. And Amanda called in to say, "Don't buy the books. First off, there's a ton of stuff for free online, PDF versions of this stuff. Don't do it. And go to the first couple of classes and see." Because she's like, "There are times I spent $150 on a book. And then I realized day two, we're not doing anything. This isn't going to matter. This isn't going to happen. This is for academia." Someone texted in, Billy, and said, "You need to create a new phone, I presume, for this specific feature. You choose the snooze."
That's fantastic.
I know.
That is a winner.
That's brilliant right there. You choose the snooze is fantastic.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful.
So we didn't get to do that. But on the other hand, there was a lot of goofing around. We ended up going to the pool, which we had not done all summer. You know what I mean? Like you want to sneak it in before Labor Day and they start draining it and it gets all. So we went to the pool and it's like anything else, especially with Graham. And Jeff was there too. If you can bring a ball or an object that can be thrown, instantly it turns into some kind of competition. We find an orange cone, like one of those very small, short stack orange cones, not the big ones for soccer that they use now. They just kind of throw. He found one somewhere in the grass, so he brought it over and we held it from like, 10 feet away and tried to shoot these little baskets with
nice.
this ridiculous. But anyway, we ended up running into some neighbors and we ended up being there like 5 hours on Saturday.
Wow.
Big Daddy, despite the sunscreen, got a little burned. And that it was still great. And then yesterday, true to my word, I'm going to try to do this damn marathon. It's now about 9 weeks away, maybe a little bit less.
Yeah.
And it was the 12-mile run yesterday. I made a huge mistake. And that was, even though I woke up early, I did some work, and I thought I will start running at 8:30. That was stupid, because by 9 a.m., man, the sun, it was like an anvil. I felt like Lawrence of Arabia, Peter O'Toole, when he's walking across that's what I felt like running. And I'm just like, why would I do this? Well, I was up at 6. Why didn't I just run at 6? So the next run is this Sunday. On paper, it's supposed to be 14 miles. You're adding a couple miles up. Buddy, I'm not fast, right? Like I'm not. And that the goal at one point was I'm going to run a sub 4 for my very first one. That's roughly a 10-minute mile. No problem. Now I'm like, I just want to finish. I want to finish before people start tearing down the route. Like people have gone home, they've showered, they're going to dinner, and they're like, "Are you still running?"
Yeah,
I'm like,
still there?
I'm still going.
I gotta be there.
I don't want to be that guy.
I don't want you to feel bad, but my dog might be a little smarter than you are.
Oh, what?
Slightly. All I'm saying is all I'm saying is that yesterday we walked in the morning when it was cool. Yesterday afternoon. She wants to go walk. She has time. She knows what time it is. So she's bugging me, and she comes over, and she's definitely pushing me. And I know it's walking time. So go out, grab the leash. We go outside. It's like 91 degrees. We get to the end of the block, and she's like, yeah, this is BS. She turns around and wants to go back to the house.
That's it.
Yeah. She's like, no, I'm not doing this. This is crap.
Wow.
Yeah. So again,
how old?
She's 6. Yeah.
So 6 in dog years, that's 108 or something.
Oh yeah,
like
she has gray all through here, just like I do. Honestly.
Yeah. So, but she was smart enough to go back.
Yeah, she was much smart. She's like, this is.
I couldn't.
Ridiculous.
I had to do the damn run because it's so hard to run during the week because of this thing that you and I do called a job, and I had to do it, and I just regret so much about it. There were hills around the house, and I don't. There aren't any hills in Washington D.C. as best I can tell, other than the hill.
Yeah.
It's sea level. I'm really counting on that shaving off hours from the run, because as it is right now, it became this thing where as cars drove by or we passed, there were a bunch of, young couples out there with their kids doing their thing. As they would pass by, I would think it was a moment to be like, hey, good morning.
Yeah.
Oh, and what a cute baby. And early on, that was true. By the end of this thing, I think they were wondering, do I remember enough about first aid to help this man when he goes down? Like, should
what is wrong with him?
Yeah, when Pops slips down onto the ground.
Is he in crisis?
Yeah, is he gonna make it? It was just the sweat, the pain. I could see couples afterwards, as I ran by, I'd look over my shoulder and they'd look at each other like, what's that guy doing?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like,
now I want to talk a second. You're talking to the pool. Now, there's something, going to the giant water parks. Okay,
yes.
Now, we've all been to concerts and sporting events, and that you go to when you go to the bathroom, there are long lines at the bathroom.
Always.
There are thousands of people at the water parks. Have you ever wondered why there's never a line at the bathroom at the
Never
water
wondered
park?
Because I'm part of the reason there's no line at the park.
I know. That's the part that always bothers me going to the water park, because I'm sitting there going, look at all these people, and I see only like 3 going into the restroom.
All I want to know is, do you have enough chlorine on hand to make it a non-issue?
That's what worries me.
Jeff, of course, the rule follower. Jeff would get out and go. I mean, like, he's like, Dad, before I get in the pool, I got to go to the bathroom. And I'm yelling to him over the families. I'm like, the pool is the bathroom.
Yeah, exactly.
What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? Yeah.
I mean, the whole world is a Costanza scene, but it's just like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I know.
And I think I mentioned this when Graham and I a couple weeks ago did the paddle boarding. He's jumping off doing crazy stuff. And his biggest regret is he keeps climbing out 3-4 times. He's like, I forgot to go. And I'm like, buddy, this is our drinking water too. This Rooter Hess thing is legit drinking water. I know they treat it, but unless it's with fire or something, I don't know that it can help. But somehow you got us into peeing in the pool.
I know.
And I don't.
You're welcome. Thank you. My job is done here today.
But that run killed me so badly that when I went to go pick up a good buddy of Graham's yesterday after the run, at first I said, this guy Keaton, super great kid, fantastic parents, their baseball family. They were going to go golf, and Keaton, who's also a golfer, is like, well, I want to stick around so I can play with Graham. You guys go. And they're like, what time do you think you'll be there? And I'm like, well, I'm going to start running at 8:30. I imagine it'll be sometime around 10:30 or 11.
Oh, geez. Yeah. No,
that didn't happen. So
3.
sometime around 11:40,
there you go.
I roll in. But by the way, it made me feel good because Graham gets out of the car. I grabbed up Graham to go check on Keaton. He comes back and he goes, hey, Dad, Keaton's got to finish up some chores like doing the dishes and stuff. And I look at Graham and Graham looks at me and he goes, I don't know why he couldn't have done it before. And I'm like, he's you, dude. This is you, right?
Is.
Like had Keaton's parents showed up, this would be you. He's like,
this would be.
What are you talking about? I said, you procrastinate. He said,
Yes.
no, I don't. I said, Graham, we could be 5 minutes out from fill in the blank. And I'm saying to you, it's time to put on your shoes. You don't even look for your shoes in the car until it's come to a complete stop and I'm getting out. And he's like, well, this is different. I'm like, this is not, different at all.
Not at all.
So he goes back in and I don't know what happened, man, but this run catches me. He then pounds on the window to wake me up. I fall asleep in the driver's seat, just like, I think my day's over. And it's 11:40. You know, I'm like, I think my day's over.
Daddy, go night-night.
Daddy's not going to do a lot today.
Oh,
so
my goodness.
They're playing in the pool. I find some little lounger thing to sit on and I'm just kind of laying there. I'm not really sleeping.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of doing an internal survey of myself. And I'm like, I don't know that I can run more than this.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not even halfway to a marathon. Like, why does anyone do this?
Like, is that my spleen that hurts?
Like, like I don't understand. I can't feel my feet.
Exactly.
Anyway.
Now, strangely enough, speaking of, the old man falling asleep thing, a buddy of mine went to the Ed Sheeran concert on Saturday.
Supposed to have been huge.
And fell asleep.
At the concert?
Well, here's the thing, though. It was delayed a little while for rain and lightning. And he said it was really neat. He went with one of his friends, and he's talking about the fact that we were talking yesterday. And he said, when they did the delay, he goes, I found a quiet corner. He goes, and I went nap. I'm like, yeah.
So it was supposed to be like the biggest attendance of anything ever.
Yeah, they had more people in there, over 85,000 inside the stadium.
And that's a 75,000 person stadium. Man. That's crazy.
And that's wonderful. And I guess the concert from, and he's a really good friend. And he said the concert was absolutely incredible. But the thing that he missed was, I guess Ed did a performance at the Bluebird the day before. And
that's
would have
pretty
been amazing.
Intimate.
Yeah, that would have been incredible. Also, Ed, he shared it on his Instagram. He stopped by Casa Bonita, which I think is
I
cool.
saw that in the newspaper.
Which I think is kind of cool. I think that's very cool.
He probably didn't have to have reservations. I imagine
probably
it's just Ed Sheeran.
Yeah, he probably had his own table and they walked him around. And
little help here from the texters, and we love you. You can always get us at the 710 KNUS app, and a lot of you do. Chlorine and urine make mustard gas. I will never swim in a public pool.
Oh.
Now, I don't know if chlorine and urine make mustard gas or not, but now I'm interested.
Yeah, it almost seems like, Mark Crowley wants us to do those shorts for YouTube and stuff. I think we have an experiment, kind of like a, Bill Nye the Science Guy, Mr. Wizard kind of thing. Yeah, you remember Mr. Wizard?
I do. Yeah.
Yeah.
The kids still watch
this. Exactly. See, we could do that. You and I could do a little Mr. Wizard and we could, go off screen and, see if we can get the streams to create the mustard gas.
Now,
I'm always about ideas.
I'm looking this up. Common cleaning products can be dangerous when mixed.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
How about this? Here's an
ammonia,
entire article on something called Healthline. Is it safe to pee in a toilet that's been cleaned with bleach? It may produce a small amount of chloramine gas.
Oh, nice.
Here's buddy. This is crazy. This isn't even the dark web. Here's another Reddit thread here. So if you peed in a cup of bleach, would it make mustard gas? Like, who are these people?
Again, I think that just because we owe it to the listener, we should find out. I think that it's our duty. It's, we're helping people, we're educating. It's a science experiment. And why didn't I know about this when my kids were still in school doing the science experiments? Because this would have been the experiment. We would have done this one.
Well, I don't understand how people, but it's totally logical. Here's someone, I know bleach plus ammonia makes mustard gas.
Yeah.
I know ammonia is secreted in human urine, more so in cats. Would it be enough to cause a hazard to you if a cat peed in a cup of bleach? How effed would you be?
I want to know how you
what kind of question.
I want to know how you get the cat to pee in the cup, because that's. I mean, I saw something the other day on social media. It's like, with a lot of time, love, care, and patience, you can teach your cat to do whatever the heck it wants to.
You know, this
Pretty
is
much what it is.
This may be the new method of murder, right? Like you go into your neighbor's house or your enemy's house,
Oh, there we go.
and you line the litter box with just some kind of ammonia not ammonia, some kind of bleach based something. Cat comes in, does its thing. Sadly, you probably lose the cat, but otherwise you're creating mustard gas in. That's true, Billy. It's not your cat. And you know what I've noticed too? People feel less worse in general about harm done to a strange cat than a strange dog.
Yes, absolutely.
That's weird.
It is weird.
Like, listen, when we watch John Wick, the scene that bothers my son Jeff the most is the puppy. Like he's like, I can't believe, and all of a sudden he's like, I totally get why he wants to kill everybody.
Exactly.
Because how do you hurt a puppy?
Yeah,
you know,
how do you possibly do that?
That's the scene that gets him the most. Any movie where there's harm done to a dog, it just instantly he's like, oh, I remember that movie. That's where they blank. I have not yet exposed him to Old Yeller.
Oh,
so that's
a tough one.
That's going to be a tough one.
That is a tough one.
Now our generation's Old Yeller is E.T.
Yeah,
you
that's
know what
true.
I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Although they don't put him down at the end, you know, it's that same kind of.
Still come. Oh yeah, E.T. Yeah,
or maybe it's Jaws.
You know what I speaking of exposure, not public, but with my son this weekend, we did a lot of soccer watching, which was good. His team lost, my team lost, and but I got him started on the old TV show, not super old, Heroes. We did. The first season's great. Oh, first season's great. Second season, meh. Third season, blech.
They just bonkers.
Yeah. But I told him that. I said, listen, we may not even get through all of them. You'll have to see. But I said, first season is fantastic. Yeah. So we've done the first 2 episodes yesterday, and he is hooked.
You know what? Yeah. What platform are you watching that on? Maybe I'll have the kids watch that. It's kind of cool.
Peacock has got it for free. Peacock. So if you have a Peacock membership,
I've got Peacock.
Yeah,
and
it's
the
got
channel.
there. Yep, exactly.
We can definitely,
or if we call back to the last year, Peafowl.
We've had two texts, which in the context of this next thing is important because we haven't done this in a while. 2 different texts this morning saying you need to bring back Grievance Monday and the theme music, please. Bunch of exclamation points.
I like that. We can do. I don't think I can find the theme music that quickly, but we can
maybe
actually do that
we do it after Sherrie Peif in the 7 o'clock hour.
Like
we'll do that. Yeah. We'll do a little bit of Grievance. I've got my own. I mean, every day is Grievance Monday.
Oh, I have a pile of them if you've met me. But
there's
more personal issues with things. But
a recently developing phrase called customer service George, where
like that.
Customer service dad, where when dad gets on the phone I feel like customer service is now. So it's now filling the void that I have in not being able to cross-examine anyone on the stand. It now becomes, this is where customer service fits in. It's I'm not using my powers for good. I don't think I'm not doing it on purpose to be malicious, but the questions and stuff. I mean, whenever when you ask someone something, this isn't even about today's grievance, and they're like a bank or something.
Yeah.
And the person's like, well, we can't do that from federal law. And I said, hang on. You're telling me the feds have passed a law specifically about the dollar amount you can Zelle out of your account?
Exactly.
I said, I think the government's as screwed up as anyone else, but I feel super comfortable. That's not real.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden there's dead silence. And I said, different answer?
Yeah.
And the guy comes back and goes, well, it's Wells Fargo's policy. And I'm like, there we go.
Yes.
See, a policy can be changed by a person. The law just can't be.
Exactly.
I'm like, let's find the person that can change the policy.
Yeah.
I just wonder how many thousands before me dude got away by going, well, federal law.
Yeah, federal law.
We can't do federal laws mandated that I must end this call right now without helping you at all. But by the way, and I love at the end, no matter how helpless they've all been in terms of their whatever, they go, is there anything else I can do for you? And I'm like, you've done nothing for me so far.
Yeah.
Why? How did we get to anything else?
Yeah.
I'm still looking for help on the first thing.
Yeah, the first thing. Yeah.
Please.
There can't be any else yet.
Yeah, I can feel myself slipping right back into customer service dad. We can't do that. Listen, I didn't give you a chance here. And of course, we have an infinite amount of time on Monday at 6 a.m. You worked a lot.
Yeah. Did I ever?
Sorry, man.
Yeah, lots of radio shows, but it was good. They were entertaining. They were fun. I've got a real heavy weekend coming up here in like 2 weeks. But it was good.
Heavier than this weekend?
Oh yeah. I've got some really ones. There's going to be a weekend coming up here in the beginning of September where I am going to be doing 4 different streams at the same time.
Don't cross them.
Yeah, exactly.
You know how that is.
That is going to be a rough one. That's going to be a tough one. This was good. But the problem was Friday. We were leaving here Friday, and I talked to you about how I was tired coming out of the show. I went home and I fell asleep for hours. And by the time I woke up, it was a little too late for me to start doing a lot of the radio stuff that I could pre-record. So that added on extra hours over the courses of Saturday and Sunday because there's
stress
one overnight
too.
show.
Do you go to bed thinking, damn it?
Yeah, thinking about, okay, I've got to do this. How many hours? But I had prepped most of the information already. So that's a pre-recorded show rather than the live stuff. But still, it is no fun getting up really early in the morning on Sunday and sitting there. However,
I don't understand why you even threw in the day of the week. It's not fun getting up early.
That's true.
That would have done it.
Sundays earlier. But it was interesting because, okay, I have been on the other end of maybe, let's just say some law enforcement figures or authority figures shining a flashlight on me in the dark. So that came in handy.
Oh my gosh, were you in a men's room?
No, but we'll leave what I was doing elsewhere, but because I'm not sure what the statute of limitations. But the issue being that outside where we live, it's kind of it's a corner, but there's kind of a half street where we are, and barely anybody uses it except for people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
Now on each corner, so it's like half a block long, if that, maybe a third. And there is a street light on each corner, but there's a darkness zone right in the middle, right about where the mailboxes are that the street lights don't catch. And, we've been in this neighborhood for years and years and years. That is where the kids come to drink the alcohol and smoke the devil's weed and hang out. And
devil's lettuce, baby.
Yeah. So many times over the course, and my neighbor and I kind of have this thing that we go out there and we bother the kids when this happens. So I'm firing up the kit right around 4:00 in the morning, getting ready to record. And I hear voices outside over the fence, and the music's rather loud, which tells me you guys are inebriated, because if it's this dark and it's this time of the day, you're not going to be playing. So I'm like, this is just, you're obviously too inebriated to figure out what you're doing. So go in and grab the one of our flashlights. It's got a really nice, powerful beam. And our dog loves to go outside and take care of these a-holes.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah, so I go out there and I'm like, hey, you want to go get the guys? And she's like, and I'm like, come on, let's go. I'm like, and so I open the door. I'm like, go get them. And she runs right to the fence and is like, rah, 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 and just goes nuts. And so I walk up and I put the flashlight up and I shine it right into the front window and the windshield. And they're sitting there, and I know that I can see everything you're doing and you cannot see me, because that's how light works.
Wonderful.
So they sit there and like, and one guy yells something. I'm like, no, it's time to go home. And they're like, no. I'm like, don't care. Go home now.
Oh, I thought you were going to go full on cop.
No,
like, gentlemen.
Yeah. No, the thing
I want you to hand your IDs out.
The thing is, I have a very loud voice and it projects. So the second time I said that, they turned off the music and they drove away. And then my wife wakes up later and she goes, I heard that. Like, and she's upstairs inside the house on the second floor. And she heard me yelling
What time
outside.
of night was this?
This would have been about 4:15 in the morning.
You woke up your wife at 4:15?
I know. It's not even for the sexy time. I know. Kind of disappointing.
Oh, my goodness.
But I did, But I yelled. My voice carries. And so,
Is it in a Till Tuesday kind of way?
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah. Nice job.
Thank you so much.
That's fantastic. I appreciate that one.
Every once in a while, I will pull one out. That's the only time I could ever do that.
Yeah,
that's that one Till Tuesday is that one
voice
time.
Is scary.
Yeah, otherwise, for those of you that don't know what that is, I don't know where you were in the 80s, but that was there.
That's a great song.
Listen, we've hit an appropriate period of time here. Couple quick texts. Someone texting in and saying, you guys are close to sounding like South Park. I will
take that as a compliment.
Someone else who had to Google melting plastic, whether melting plastic causes toxic fumes because, left it on the stove. Who hasn't done that? And then some other stuff about going to the CSU games and stuff like that. All great texts coming in. Already very active this morning, and we like that here at the George Show. Hey, stick around. We're going to get to the good stuff. That's the local news that you care about. Very rarely is it upbeat, but it's important. And then we'll get to you choose the news with William. Stick around. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.
Why should you buy your next vehicle at Castle Rock Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram? We make car shopping easy. We have a huge inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles. We can even custom order. We make it easy. Easy financing, friendly staff. And when it comes to quality service, our expert technicians keep your vehicle in top shape. Visit us today off of Highway 25 and Plum Creek, or shop online at castlerockcbjr.com. Castle Rock, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Car shopping made easy.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
Want to take your favorite radio station wherever you go? Well, now there's an app for that. No matter where you are, stream your favorite shows. Tap the app to listen to podcasts. Talk back to your favorite local hosts.
At the tone, leave a message.
Call the show. Set your alarm. Enter contests and win prizes. All in the palm of your hand. Available now for iOS and Android devices in the App Store or Google Play. And best of all, it's free. Download today.
George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS on a Monday that is going to be nothing but a bright ball of heat, light, and fire in the sky, making us 99 degrees. Let's figure out what the local news says, William.
Yes, no. For you Brian Regan fans, the big yellow one is the sun. Yeah, that's in the sky today. Highs are going to soar into the way upper 90s. Way too hot. As many kids are heading back to school, Denver public schools. And by the end of the week, though, better chance of storms, showers, along with a gradual cool down. We did have a fatal crash between a motorist and a bicyclist that took place yesterday morning near I-25 in Santa Fe. According to the Denver Police Department, one person was pronounced dead on scene. Spokesperson later confirmed the deceased was the bicyclist. It would have been really weird if it was the motorist. I'm just saying.
That would have been, what kind of bike is
very
that?
strange. Yeah, I need that one.
Yeah.
Spokesperson also said the driver involved did remain on the scene. Wanted to mention that because that's cool. Good job. Also, police are investigating a triple shooting that left 2 people dead Saturday morning. Happened near 28th and Welton by the city's 5 Points neighborhood. The victims were transported to the hospital, unknown extent of injuries. Later said on social media, 2 of the victims were pronounced deceased. Police in Aurora are investigating deaths of 2 men found in an alley on Saturday morning as homicides as well. They were discovered around 7 in the morning near East 22nd Avenue and Galena Street. That's according to the Aurora Police Department. Firefighters and police responded to an initial report of unresponsive person laying on the ground. They determined the person was dead on arrival. A short time later, the Aurora officers arrived on the scene, discovered a second body a short distance away from the first scene. How the first people there didn't notice, I don't know. But oh well. Victims are 2 black men in their 20s.
Wow.
Sustained multiple gunshot wounds.
Dang,
Yeah.
where is this?
This would have been, hang on, back to the other page, 22nd and Galena Street.
Oh, boy.
Right about there. Investigators believe the victims were shot and killed at another location.
Good Lord.
And the bodies dumped there. So they're investigating right now. Also, there are some families in Aurora displaced from their homes last night after a fire in an apartment complex. Fire crews arrived around 5 p.m. and found the fire on the 2nd and 3rd floors at a building near Airport Boulevard in Alameda. We had more fire, and this happened on Saturday. 2 attached homes were destroyed in a fire in Arvada on Saturday. Crews responded to the fire on Independence Street near West 69th Avenue just around 3 p.m. Blaze prompted a 2-alarm response. Additional crews coming from West Metro Fire Rescue and Fairmount Fire. Spokesperson said they quickly moved to a defensive attack, meant they were only fighting the fire from outside the structure because it was too dangerous to go inside. Arvada Fire said all the people living there got out safely and were not hurt.
Oh, that's good.
But there were some pets that are unaccounted for, a dog and 3 cats.
Oh, man, that's the worst.
Yeah, that
again,
sucks.
mostly for the dogs.
Yeah. Denver Mayor Mike Johnston has provided very few details so far about how much his plan to house 1,000 people is going to cost by the end of the year. But that's beginning to change. The mayor's office is asking the city council to approve a $7 million contract with Pallet. They're a social purpose company for 200 tiny homes, and they're about 70 square feet total. They can fit up to 2 people. That's going to be comfortable. 120 square foot units can fit up to 4 people. That $7 million figure includes the cost of air conditioners, heaters for each unit, along with twin mattresses, bed frames, and folding desks. Probably bunk beds, I'm guessing. Yeah. Also, maybe mid-August, but Colorado post offices are already ramping up for what's expected to be a busy holiday season. The Postal Service is currently hiring more than 1,000 employees to work at their processing facilities along the Front Range. Wages are going to run you between about $8.50 to $22 per hour. Yeah.
Could we, Billy, can we do the show remotely while moving things? Maybe we can double our pay.
I like that. That's good. I like how you're thinking.
Yeah,
that could be
that
really
would be
good.
great.
We
It's
should do
almost like, who's the guy that does the dirty jobs?
Oh, Mike Rowe.
Mike Rowe.
Yeah.
It's like our Mike Rowe.
Oh, we could do that. We could. One of us should go be an Amazon driver just to see.
I wouldn't mind doing the Amazon driver.
I probably wouldn't mind that. I would.
Yeah, that feels like a perfect job for a would-be burglar / serial killer.
Exactly. And also Denver Broncos lost again. So yeah.
It's the way they lost that concerns me. First off,
Yes,
it looks like
worrisome.
we did good. We did great again starting off. We came back from behind and all this other good stuff. And then once again, we gave it up at the end. And I know it's preseason. And I know it's the 18th string and all that stuff. But that gets in your head, man, when you start giving it up at the end of the game twice. And I know it's not horrible, but man.
Yeah, you'd like to have it be the comeback win rather than be on the other end of that one. Although the kid that caught the touchdown near the end of the first, not touchdown, but he got down to the 1 yard line near the end of the first half. He has to have knee surgery.
No.
Yeah, that's awful. So feel so bad for him. However, that new smaller, I don't know his name, but the smaller rookie running back, the guy that got 2 touchdowns, there's something
tiny
there.
Dude, yeah.
There's something there. He's smart. I
the
like
NFL
how he runs.
Spud Webb.
Yeah, I saw him in the second run for the touchdown. He did a little Barry Sanders hop that I really liked. I haven't seen a lot of running backs be able to pull
I'll have to
off
go back and take a look at
type. And that gives me a lot of hope that if Javonte Williams not healthy, maybe
Yep.
we got something there.
Well,
So,
hopefully
yeah.
he is.
Oh, I
he's
hope so.
healthy. That's what they're saying
Yeah.
in the newspapers.
And that's all I got.
Yeah, that's it was a disappointing loss. Meanwhile, and if I have Dave Magoya on, it'll be tomorrow. Dave's got another piece. We'll talk a little bit about it in the Gazette, but some developments on stuff. But Dave and I were commiserating over text about how horribly the Yankees are doing. I mean, 16 games out, under 500, got swept by the Red Sox. Here's the deal. You can lose the season. There's no doubt about it, but you can't lose to the Red Sox. My prediction right now, and I said this to Dave, I said, Boone is gone. Aaron Boone, gone.
Oh,
and I love that guy. Yeah. And his response was, should have been gone 2 years ago. And I'm like, well, there's that, but very little right now to root for. I need the Broncos to do well. I need the Nuggets to come out strong, because this baseball thing between the Rockies and the Yankees, oh my God, it makes me think about your plan about relegation. Like maybe we need to build this into the season, because people would play with a level of desperation we haven't seen yet.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, end of the soccer season, when you have that relegation battle, sometimes that is more pressure filled and more anxiety filled than the top of the table, than people that are trying to end up number one, because that is there's so much tied into maintaining the top, being in the top division. I mean, imagine what would happen to the Rockies if they had to go down to AAA. Imagine what would happen to the budget, the TV money evaporates.
Well, how about if your high school team was told, hey, you're about to go to JV. You guys, you have the worst. You're going to JV next year. But I'm a senior. It's like, I don't care.
Don't care.
Yeah. Win.
Play better. Yeah. Exactly.
Interesting.
I love the idea.
Listen, I want to get us back in time to do the good stuff. That's the most produced, most beloved portion of the show. It's called You Choose the News. All you've got to do to benefit from it is stick around. You can also text us off of the app and check us out on the YouTubes and the Rumbles. But stick around. It's George Brauchler on the George Show, 710 KNUS. Don't hit that snooze. It's time for You Choose. Well, you know, William.
That's fantastic. Yes, it is that time when every morning we play everybody's favorite fake radio news game show, You Choose the News. We have scoured the interwebs over the weekend for really stupid stories, giving them dumb headlines to play this fake radio news game because they keep paying us to do it, which, yeah, I know. We question their judgment
Keep going. Let's keep doing it.
Here we are, sir. Here are your headlines this morning. Delicious Death, headline number 1. Headline number 2, Have You Read the Book? Headline number 3, Looted Launch. And headline number 4, Remember Your Rights. All righty, sir. Your headlines once again are Delicious Death, Have You Read the Book? Looted Launch, and Remember Your Rights. Your choice.
As an attorney, I'm going to go for Remember Your Rights.
Remember Your Rights. Now, this is nearly 2 months after a woman in Plano, Texas, her body was found in a lake. Now, new details about her death and her husband's arrest are emerging. Carlton Dudley has been jailed since late June, ever since that his wife Sarah's body was found in a black duffel bag in Louisville Lake off Hidden Park Cove. Now, oddly enough, the duffel bag seems to resemble one that is missing from the inventory in the Dudley family household. But that isn't the only clue that police are going on. During the time in which Carlton was arrested, he lamented to the arresting officers, "Man, can't believe I lost the body and I didn't hide it very well."
What?
Yes. He actually said that. Yes.
Thank you, helper. We just don't catch the smart ones.
Exactly.
We just won't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Yeah. The whole idea of you have the right to remain silent. Evidently, Carlton, not so much. Yeah. He admitted that he didn't hide the body well enough.
I'm wondering, though, what the out is there. Is like the body of what? The body of my song.
Yeah,
Is what I
exactly.
meant.
Yes.
I felt like I should have done better.
Yes, exactly. I just, oh my gosh. Yeah. All righty. Second choice.
Have you read the book?
Have you even read the book? Here we're traveling to Africa because recently an archbishop in Africa was giving a sermon and he reminded you that if you are poor, you cannot get into heaven.
Huh?
Exactly. Now, most of us are familiar with that part of the Bible where Jesus says that it's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to get into heaven. But evidently, this specific archbishop hasn't gotten to that part yet in the book because during it, he said that you should not try to be poor. You will perish in hell. God gave you life, and if you die poor, you need to work hard. You should not sleep and be idle.
Wait a minute, if you're poor, you're going to hell?
Yes, that's what he said. An archbishop. This guy actually...
I hope he's wrong, because you and I are going to hell, friend.
This is the interesting part about it, though, is at one point, this particular archbishop in Africa served at the Holy See under Pope John Paul II and Pope Benedict.
You know what?
So
Maybe
you'd
there's a
think
missing
that
knot.
Maybe.
You know, like you drop a knot from the sentence and it changes the meaning. Maybe that's what happened.
No, I went back and looked at the sermon. He is not kidding around.
Well,
yeah, the whole thing
God
is about,
wants you to work hard and be rich.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It's like if you're poor, you can't get into heaven. And again, maybe he just hasn't.
I hope
to that
he has a
chapter yet.
podcast.
Alrighty. Final choice: Delicious Death or Looted Launch?
Delicious Death, please.
Delicious Death. This is awful because it has to do with ice cream. This is awful. In Tacoma, there is a specific restaurant, Frugal's, that has been serving wonderful milkshakes. People come from miles around. However, recently their milkshakes came with something extra: listeria.
What?
Yes, there's listeria in the ice cream machine, and so far 3 people have actually died because of it.
Dude, that's crazy.
6 people hospitalized between February and July. So again, it's been going on for a while. The science hippies were able to genetically fingerprint the bacteria and were able to trace it back to the actual ice cream machine.
Frugal's is about to go out of business.
I think so too.
But when do they start? Like after the first death?
Yeah.
I don't know if they could trace it back to the shake thing. Yeah. But then you're like, wow, that's weird. I wonder why that happened. After the second death, don't you then just kind of take a step back from the producing anything out of that store?
Exactly.
But the third one, then you're like, nope, okay, I get it. Now it is us. Now I know.
Which makes me not feel so bad that the McDonald's ice cream machine never works. I'm okay with this now. The idea that it's like maybe listeria. Okay, no, it's I don't need the ice cream that bad. I don't need my Grimace shake that immediate. So,
oh, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. So we don't get paid today. I didn't get to.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to double up some of the advertisers coming up. Listen, we're out of time for the 6 o'clock hour, but what that means is we get the 7 o'clock hour. We're going to be joined by Sherrie Peif from Complete Colorado, page 2. And then I think by popular demand, we're going to do Grievance Monday. Stick around. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. Welcome to the 7 o'clock hour of the 4-hour expedition that is the George Show. Every Monday through Friday, we get replaced in 3 hours by a guy named Charlie Kirk, and then we go Dennis Prager. And if you love listening to Dennis Prager, and that guy's really smart, he has a very interesting delivery compared to the wing nuttery that goes on here in the 6 to 10 a.m. hour. But he's going to be in person for us in Centennial, right at the View House there, right off of I-25 on August the 30th. You can get your tickets at 710knus.com. There's a banner. You click on it. You get the tickets. You show up. You get this intimate setting with Dennis Prager. You get to, I imagine we're going to field questions. I've got to apparently sit down and come up with questions to ask Dennis before he gets out here. They don't like my unscripted approach to witness interrogation. I mean, interviewing Dennis Prager. So if you want to have some hand in that, you can just show up there ahead of time. Give me some questions to ask. In fact, if we can, I'll turn it over to the crowd. I love those kinds of questions. And then you get your first drink for free, a premium cigar. There's a carving station. Still, I feel like it's either now meat or soap. I thought it was meat, soap, or wood, but I think we've eliminated wood. It's either carving for meat or soap, and I just don't know which. But come and find out. And then, of course, there's hors d'oeuvres and a whole bunch of other good camaraderie with other 710 KNUS listeners. And then 1 o'clock, Seb Gorka, 3 Deb. 1 fantastic hour with Deb Flora, and then Stefan Tubbs from 4 to 7. I think he's back in the saddle. Every time I say he's on, he's not, so I probably just jinxed him. Listen, we're going to go to the VIP line right now. She's a regular guest. She's a favorite of the show and a favorite of yours. Her name is Sherrie Peif. She writes for Complete Colorado, page 2. Sherrie, thanks for joining us.
Morning. How are you?
You know, I'm living the dream. I don't know if you saw the weather thing. Maybe it's different up north there, but where we are, it's just a giant burning ball of sun, followed by the prediction 99 degrees.
Yeah, and you know, I'm in Greeley, and we have this like little valley thing going on.
Oh, that's nice.
So we are either in the summertime, we are either hotter than you guys, or in the wintertime, ours are usually a little bit more milder as well, but we're always like that one step worse of everything. You know what I mean? So when it's 90 in Denver, it's 100 in Greeley.
Oh, geez, I thought it was going to be better.
Oh no, it's not. It's generally better in the winter because we do kind of like, you know, Grand Junction and stuff. Sometimes we get passed over when it comes to storms and things because of the valley. But it doesn't make the summers any better at all. No.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So this is a clothing optional Monday up there in Greeley. Because I don't know if that's a good thing, but it's something.
Oh, goodness sakes.
Sherrie, you have written something that about what's going on with the ballot stuff. I'll be honest with you. I did not know this was even a thing. This is your Menton article. Where you talk about, hey, did you know that you can do this for these upcoming ballot issues? I had no, I've lived in this state since I was 2. I have been active in politics. I did not know that this was a thing.
You know, funny, same thing. I didn't know it was a thing until I wrote about it last election season. And now it's like, okay, so what can I write about? You know, because I actually took advantage of it.
You did?
Last year. Yes, I actually took advantage of it last year. And I wrote the opposition for the Gray Book on a mill levy override initiative that was on the ballot up in Greeley. And
did it get published?
It did get published. Yes.
Do they publish all of them? Actually, you know what? I'm jumping way ahead. You should tell the story, and then we'll.
No, that's okay. That's okay. So so there's this little known thing in the Tabor laws. I don't know if they're in the Tabor laws or Colorado election laws or whatever they are. But anytime that there's a Tabor initiative of some sort on ballot, you always get those little blue books. They call them blue books at the statewide level. I think they're called gray books at the local level. But you always get those little books in the mail that say, here's what's on your ballot. Here's what the ballot language says. Here's what they, the people that are for it think. And here's what the people that are against it think. Well, the people that are for those Tabor initiatives are always the government. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When the city puts a tax raise, a tax increase or something on the ballot, there is always a favorable paragraph in there. There is almost never a opposition paragraph. which leads the low information voter to believe that, well, hey, nobody opposed it, so why should I, kind of thing. Well, that's because nobody knows that anybody can submit an opposition or a positive. I mean, you can submit on either side, but anybody can submit that to the clerk that is in charge of that election. So, like last year, what I started to say was there was a mill levy override on the ballot in Greeley that I was super against, and I could write, I think it's like 500 words, up to 500 words against that to the clerk at the local school district who was in charge of that election. Now it was coordinated through the county, but it still goes back to the person that's in charge of that particular ballot initiative. So if you have, say, 10 people write 500 words,
Right.
then the clerk decides what of those 10 people that write 500 words, what of that 500 words goes in the book.
Oh, so there's 500 words total.
Yes, they can combine those. They can mix and match them. They can, whatever. But for the most part, I think there's a part in my thing where Natalie Minton talks about, only like 10% ever have. I mean, I don't remember what the figure was. Very rarely is there ever an opposition side to any of these Tabor ballot initiatives in that blue book. So for the most part, if you write something, you're generally going to get it in there word for word, which is what happened in my case in Greeley.
And is it only on tax-related ballot issues, or can I chime in on anything?
No, it's just tax related.
Because I wanted to write some stuff about candidates. I wanted to just throw my 500 words in anywhere. I may end up getting to do that. I think, Billy, we lost Sherrie temporarily. She may have been mugged by some of the utensils in her kitchen. I don't know what that was. But if you haven't checked this out, it's on Complete Colorado page 2. It's called Longtime Tabor Activist on a Recruiting Mission to Weigh In on Local Ballot Measures. Natalie Minton out of Jefferson County, big-time Tabor advocate, has figured out a way to get your voice into the blue book / gray book. Sherrie, thanks for joining us. I was worried that you had fallen down a well.
I don't know what happened there, but yeah.
Lassie, go get Sherrie. Listen, can we change gears on this one? I like this one. I'm going to go look and see if there's something I can opine on. But my guess is because of your article and maybe a few people listening to the show, we may crush. Is it the clerk and recorder? Who's the one that gets the?
It just depends. So like if you have let's say there's an upcoming tax measure for your fire district.
Okay.
Then you would submit that to whoever in the fire district is in charge of making sure that election goes
so it
off.
takes a little bit of homework here.
Yeah, you're going to have to call it. All you got to do is call the local district and say, hey, who do I send this to? It just depends on who the local taxing authority is. Since
the deadline is like September 22nd, how do you even know what the hell's going to be on the ballot before? Where can I find that?
Well, yeah, that's another thing that Natalie does that is so appreciated, that she finds all that stuff out. But technically, you're going to have to do a little bit of research on your own if you're not in a county where Natalie is searching. You can call your clerk and who you would really want to call is call your clerk and recorder within your county. Ask your clerk and recorder, hey, have any municipalities or government entities or anything put in notice to you that they want to save a spot on the ballot? And if she says, yeah, Wheat Ridge has reserved a spot on the ballot, then you would call your clerk in Wheat Ridge and say, hey, why did you reserve that spot? What are you going to put on the ballot that you're reserving a spot for?
Oh, isn't that interesting?
All these little communities and taxing authorities coordinate with the county clerk to make sure it's on the ballot. So your county clerk is going to know if anybody has reserved a spot. And later, as we get closer to the election, the county clerk may even know what that is. But they will definitely know, because we're already past the deadline where authorities have had to say, hey, I want to save a spot on the ballot.
We're talking with Sherrie Peif from Complete Colorado, page 2. In no way am I assigning you or Natalie homework, But it would be super cool if there was some sort of clearinghouse website where someone can be like, oh, here are the things on the ballot that are going to affect my taxes this November. And then here's a link to the person I say I want to chime in on. That could be powerful.
You know, I know Natalie has a website of some sort similar to that or around that. I can't remember exactly what it is that she does, but I can find out and get that back to you because I know there is something that Natalie does that is close to that.
I'd love if we could post that onto the website, get people on board there. That would be awesome.
Yeah, let me double check on that, George, but I know there's something to that effect that she does.
Can we shift gears to another column that you have written since last you were on, and it is about a name that I remember well. I don't know how many other folks will, and that is Rochelle Galindo. She had been in the legislature and then overnight was no longer in the legislature and now wants to be back in the legislature. Tell us the story.
Oh, the poor state legislature. Yeah. Rochelle Galindo represented House District 50 up here where I'm at. She was my representative, thankfully, for only one session before
a Democrat, by the way.
Down.
Democrat.
A Democrat, yep. And House District 50 has been represented mostly by Democrats. I think we've had one Republican in House District 50 over the last 30 years.
Wow.
It is the one blue spot of Weld County that we can't seem to shake.
A blemish.
But that being said, Rochelle represented House District 50 for 1 year. I want to say it was back 2019, something in that area.
That's such a short term. Normally they're 2 years.
Yeah, Rochelle had a lot of problems. Rochelle has always had problems. She was a Greeley City Council woman for a term before she ran. And while she was on Greeley City Council, she used campaign funds to take, lab trips to Las Vegas with paying people. And
with an undisclosed companion, by the way.
He was an undisclosed companion, yeah. Once she got into the state legislature, she went through campaign managers like most people go through drinking water because she's not a very nice person to her campaign staff. She got busted kind of for campaigning inside of a poll, inside that 100-foot polling method.
Yeah. Crazy easy to not do that, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. And there was a lot of things about Rochelle. She campaigned on her father was an oil and gas worker, and so she would never, ever, 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 ever touch oil and gas in Weld County, except for that she supported 181 and then turned around and sponsored a bill that would help anybody who had been fired, in southern Colorado because they got rid of coal, or anybody who lost their job because of getting rid of oil and gas. The Office of Just Transition or something like that. I can't remember what it was called.
Yeah.
But she ended up resigning. She ended up stepping down because the folks up in House District 50 decided, no more, we're done. You've lied through your teeth and you've done everything that you don't represent us, and started a recall campaign against her. And during that recall campaign, 2 young women came out and went to the Greeley Police Department and said, by the way, she sexually assaulted me while I was working on her campaign. And Rochelle was not convinced that she was going to be able to get through the sexual assault accusations during the recall campaign, so she stepped down. So she eventually, charges were never brought in the sexual assault part. The 2
But
young
you've
girls
looked at the reports. Those were available.
Yes, the reports were available. They came out separately. One girl came out first, and then another girl came out later. They claimed that Rochelle had fed them alcohol and marijuana at parties and at her apartment during the campaign, and then had sex with them. And both of these girls were under 21.
Oh, wait, what?
Yeah, both of the girls were, I want to say, around 19 years old.
Oh, boy.
They ended up not charging Rochelle with sexual assault. Folks that I know close to the situation said that the girls were scared to death to testify against her because they both had aspirations for politics later. And so they pulled out and would not testify. So they did file charges on the alcohol and marijuana, and Rochelle ended up beating those charges and being found not guilty of those charges.
Did those girls testify in that case?
No, they did not. That
Well,
ended up going. That didn't. Yeah,
can't win.
It's one of those stories. You just couldn't win. She's one of those people that you can throw everything at her, and it never continues. It never seems to stick. But it caused enough of a stink that it ran her out of Weld County. So she is now all of your problems down there in District 4.
No, that's not me.
So she now lives in Denver. And there's an open seat in House District 4 because I can't ever go. Is it Gonzal? I can't remember the woman's name, but she just recently was elected to Denver City Council. And because she was elected to Denver City Council, she has stepped down from her legislative seat in District 4. And Rochelle has thrown her name into that hat because her best buddy and one of her campaign managers just happens to be the secretary of the Denver Dems.
Oh,
so
hello.
So we're all back into, well, let's see if the Denver Dems have forgiven Rochelle for all of the problems that she caused them over the years, and whether or not she will be back in the state legislature.
I'm excited for her candidacy and ultimate nomination, because even though I know the registration in that district is such that no Republican might even run, let alone win, I love this as a blemish on the people in charge, because putting this person in a position of power would be crazy given her background. You would think that they would just slink away and go into customer service or something like that. Instead, they want to continue to drink out of the taxpayer trough, making decisions about laws that are going to be imposed on us. I mean, it's just, the hubris is nuts.
And I'll tell you what, she is definitely a Denver Dem. I mean, this is a woman who campaigned for and is a big supporter of Tay Anderson. Her and Tay Anderson were seen all over social media because she was all about his campaign and getting him on the Denver school board. She also, when she was in the state legislature, one of her best friends was Jovan Melton. I mean, do you see a history here when it comes to people who are charged with and never get in trouble for doing things that they shouldn't be doing?
Do we know yet if she appears at all on the Hunter Biden laptop? I don't.
we don't know that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Oh, listen, you did not write about this, and we talked about this on the radio. You have another great column here just a week or so ago about Polis telling CNN abortion is bad despite his role in it, but then the backlash he took, which I think was smart for him politically, from the abortion on demand up through high school or whatever it is. It was good for him to take those blows, I think, politically, for a guy who wants to be seen as moderate despite the truth of the matter. So you've got that on there. But I wanted to ask you about something you haven't written about, but you may have given some thought to. And that is there's a debate coming up this Wednesday on Fox News. It's all the GOP candidates who have made it over whatever those hurdles are that they put in front of them in terms of polling and fundraising and all that other stuff. But there's going to be one person conspicuously absent. His name rhymes with Donald Trump, and he's not coming to that one. And according to a post he put out on Truth Social like yesterday or the day before, he's not coming to any of them. Any thoughts on that? The wisdom of it, the not wisdom of it, sort of what's going on back there? I mean, you've been following politics forever, so I'm just trying to get different perspectives on this.
I think he's doing exactly what his campaign people have told him to do. It would be a situation where if I was on his campaign, I would tell him not to appear either, because Donald Trump can't speak off the cuff about anything without being a bonehead. Donald Trump would get on stage with a group of people to debate, and rather than actually debate a policy or an issue or how he would handle something, he would instead throw names or call people names and throw accusations around and talk about things that he shouldn't talk about, beat up on the media. He doesn't look good when he is actually in public speaking. Everything that Donald Trump says has to be thought out and scripted and said in advance. So his campaign team can spin not being at these debates all they want and make his supporters beat their chests and say, oh yeah, that's Donald, that's, good for you. I wouldn't trust them either. I wouldn't show up either. and get more out of that than if he actually showed up and had to have a conversation with Vivek Ramaswamy and actually debate somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy on a topic. You know, I think it just the optics for him. He is just not a good debater, and I think that is why they pulled him out of all of these. Not for any other reason, but other than they know that the legwork they'll get out of it goes much longer and much harder than if he actually showed up.
Well, this is an important conversation that I think we're going to end up starting again later, if only because the change isn't, hey, I'm not coming to the first debate. I kind of thought he was never going to come to the first debate, but there was always this thought that he might, let the field get whittled down to a couple and then show up. And now he's made it pretty clear on True Social he's not coming at all. I just wonder what the ramifications of that are. Not just for him in the primary, but for the general. Does it give Biden permission to make certain decisions about debates, which I think would be devastatingly bad because we want to see him debate? And then in the future, too, what would happen? But these are all things we'll figure out down the road. You've been very generous with your time. Sherrie Peif, as always, What's that? Oh, that's right. Forgive me, Sherrie. I almost cut away without getting your grievance because we are going to... We had Grievance Monday for a long, long time, and then we sort of fell off of it. But we've had some interest today. Like apparently things have been going on customer service wise, and I don't want to cut you off until we get your grievance, if you have one.
I thought about this after they asked me, and I think my grievance is against McDonald's. You know what? If every single ice cream machine on the planet that McDonald's owns is going to be broken always at the same time, stop serving ice cream. Have you ever noticed you cannot ever get ice cream at McDonald's? And they will tell you
except in the winter.
They're having exactly. They're having problems. I always hear they're having problems getting the ingredients or getting the whatever for the ice cream. And I laugh at that because Dairy Queen hasn't had an issue with that.
Oh, good point.
Sonic seems to be doing okay on the ice cream market.
How about Chick-fil-A?
Chick-fil-A, my grievance is with, and all of a sudden Arby's is at the same place.
What?
Arby's shake, the last couple times I've been to any Arby's, their shake machine is not working or they're temporarily out of stock. So I don't know if the same people now own Arby's that own McDonald's, but the ice cream machines, that's my grievance. That's my grievance for the day.
You've already got
Arby's
a text.
And McDonald's ice cream machine.
Text has already started coming. Sherrie spot on her grievance. I'll say this: if you missed, and I think you probably did the You Choose the News. What you missed is Billy doing a story about a place that has now killed 3 people with its listeria-ridden shake machine, and they've only now figured out it's from there. So maybe that's the upside. If you don't get the shake, you can't die from shake listeria, which is good.
That's a good point. Yep.
The other thing is, and I've mentioned this once or twice on the radio before, but when I was deployed to Iraq many moons ago, the entire morale of the base, it was affected by the health of the ice cream machine. You could see guys coming in from the desert or the hot places, going inside the air-conditioned dining facility, looking for the ice cream machine. And if it was out or had the little sign on it, you could just see depression set in, like, if the ice cream machine was working, there was no burden too great. If the machine wasn't, it was awful.
Yeah. Have you ever been to Hoo Hot? The all-you-can-eat Chinese whatever place.
I have not.
That you watch them make it in front of you?
No.
So
wait a minute. Hoo Ha. I thought that was it's not called Hoo Ha. What's that place called, Billy?
There might be several.
Where they do the something in Japan. They chop it up in front of you and they flip it. Benihana.
Well, it's the same type of. It's the same type of. Yeah, the same type of place.
Because you say Hoo Ha, I'm thinking something else. But go on.
Oh no, but Hoo Ha, same thing. They got an ice cream machine. The best part of going to Hoo Ha is at the end of the dinner when you can go pour your own ice cream cup. I mean, and when that is nice. Down, it's just when you pull into the drive-thru at McDonald's or Arby's and you want a Jamocha shake or a strawberry shake or M&M's McFlurry, and every single McDonald's ever anywhere.
There's a class action here, Sherrie. Listen, how have you not gotten to the bottom of this? You are the page 2 complete Colorado person. If anyone can get to the bottom of the story that the mainstream media is refusing to report on, it's you. You can get to this.
I'll get right on that. I'll get right on that one.
I'm starting to think that this is an industry-wide, or at least McDonald's-wide conspiracy, if you will. They suck you into the drive-thru and then announce, "Oh, I'm so sorry, with your Big Mac and your QPC and all that, we can't give you the shake because maybe it's too expensive to make it." Maybe, I don't understand, but you may have come across something.
I feel really bad for the people in the drive-thru, man, because every time I get in that drive-thru and I go, "Oh, and I would like a M&M's McFlurry," and they go, "We're sorry, our shake machine or ice cream machine is broken." My response now is, "Of course it is. Why would I expect different?"
This is Sherrie, before we cut you loose, this is a text right here. The McDonald's ice cream machine can only be serviced by the ice cream maker. They also tell you how to clean it. And if you miss it by at least an ounce, the machine will shut down and say it's not properly cleaned. Then you have to wait 24 hours. It's an absolute money pit for the McDonald's franchisee and a money-making cash cow for McDonald's and the ice cream machine maker. Just Google ice cream machines McDonald's and you'll see all of this. My story is backed up. Sherrie, this is the lead you need. You're going to get a Netflix series out of this, like McScrewed or something like that, and it'll be about shakes. When we have you back on, I really hope you've gotten to the bottom of it by then. We laugh now, but this is your ticket to, I don't know, fortune and shakes.
Oh, that's funny. I will do my best, George. I promise you, the next time I'm on, I will have a follow-up on the McDonald's ice cream machine.
And if I can make it political, I'm pretty sure it's because shakes are not woke. And that's what happens. The woke culture is taking away our McDonald's shakes. And pretty soon it'll be imitation meat quarter pounders. You are going to pull back the cover on this. That Sherrie, first off, you're welcome. But secondly, thank you so much for all the time you spent with us this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you, George.
That's Sherrie Peif, shake investigator and investigative reporter for Complete Colorado, Page 2. Listen, we're going to cut away for a break. Long overdue. Some of you will be like, is this the 6 o'clock hour? No, it's not. It's the 7 o'clock hour, but whatever. It's still Monday, right? We're still getting it in under the 10 o'clock hour. Almost anything we do at this point is a free-for-all, as Brian and Kelly are just now thinking about getting out of bed. They're not listening to the show, which is fantastic. Look, stick around, come back. We're going to do Grievance Monday. If you have a grievance, I need you to call us 303-696-1971. We will get Joan and everybody else on the line. We might even share one of our own. Stick around. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. It's a little midlife wasteland right here on 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here on The George Show. Now, we haven't done it in a while. We don't have the music for it, but we did have a segment, and we could always revive this thing that was Grievance Monday. And really the best part of it is not just our opportunity to cathartically rant about the bad things we've encountered with customer service, but really yours. And to that end, we've had a couple different texters this morning say, please bring it back. One in particular, a friend of the show, but she has a grievance she'd like to air. Her name is Joan. She's from Lakewood. Joan, thanks for joining us.
Hello. I am really grieved.
Let's hear it.
You and I and the rest of the world has had a problem this summer with flying. And we encountered a problem and tried to get some customer service, and we ran up against the chat AI thing. Frontier Airlines chat AI sucks.
That's all there
is to it. You cannot get a human person to help you. I don't know what you can do to get somebody to help you, but this AI kept going around. I don't understand. You'll need to rephrase. Choose from these three options. What I want to talk about is not part of those three options. I will never, ever, ever suggest anybody fly with Frontier again. We're having a family celebration this week.
Yeah.
And my friend isn't going to make it in. She's not.
Why not?
She had a service animal with her, and apparently they've changed the policy. So you have to not only register it all when you first purchase the airline ticket, but then 48 hours before you have to re-register the dog.
Why? Did the dog change in between registration?
No, the dog didn't change, but I think they have some kind of Buddha butt thing where they're working really hard to make sure that you hate flying. We must hate flying because if we fly, we actually change locales. And they want us not only in the state we're in, but in the house. We're not going anywhere. And they're
well, at least with Frontier, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Frontier, it's interesting because they've never been worse, in my opinion, in terms of customer service, and yet they've never made more money. These people that came into that did the ultra low fare, ultra low service kind of thing, they figured out a way to churn a whole bunch of money for their investors out of making flying ridiculously cheap and painful.
Yes, my friend actually purchased at the beginning of the summer that $300 you can fly scheme, right?
Right.
And she hasn't been able to fly because she purchased it. But God help you if you can book anything. They tell you, oh, you can't book here. Oh, this one's blacked out. Oh. She couldn't book anything. So then she paid, for a ticket.
Sure.
And then they tell her that she can't bring her dog on, even though she has flown like 4 times since January. It is unbelievable.
And when you go to complain to someone, as you pointed out, it's only AI. They discontinued customer service many, many years ago. If you talked, by the way, to Frontier employees, they're not fans of the company either. They're just hostage to it based on, the career and the amount of time they've spent in there. My guess is if pilots could leave Frontier and go to any other airline and not lose their tenure, their seniority and stuff like that, they would in droves, but they're hostage.
I don't know. I just know I have never had a problem with Frontier. And I am going to say this. The ice cream cone scene?
Oh, yeah.
The last week, I have been I had problems getting ice cream cones before, but the last week, I have gone to McDonald's twice. And the first one I went to, I got an ice cream cone, and they put so much ice cream on it, I was like, what happened here? And, it was giant, tall. I'm going to fall over in the car kind of thing, right? And then I went to get another one Saturday, and after a meeting, I spoke at a meeting, and afterwards I went to this other McDonald's, and I had real problems with their kiosk, okay? I get over there, I try to use the kiosk. George, I am not a stupid person. I got through all the kiosks, and then I push the button that says to go, right? And it won't move. It's frozen at to go, right? So I get over there and I talk to the people, and she gets me an ice cream cone, and it's 15 swirls. And I'm looking at this cone, and she said, well, it just kept going. I don't even think she knows how to use the ice cream machine. It was really quite funny.
Joan, you've hit upon a couple different topics here that we're going to want to continue to pursue. Thank you for breaking the ice on the Grievance Monday. We've got other callers on the line, one of whom, Carol, wants to talk about the ice cream thing, but I have to cut away for a break. So listen, Carol, whoever else Billy is talking to on the line, Joan's line is open, 303-696-1971. We'll pursue Grievance Monday. And folks, if you haven't yet called in to a Denver-wide morning drive time radio show to vent your grievance about some business or how you were wronged by customer service, you don't know what you're missing. This is one of the major reasons talk radio exists. It's to help you and to help us. I'm telling you, the shared misery thing is real. So as you vent about the ice cream machine, as Joan does, you know there are callers on the line. As Sherrie talks about the ice cream machine, people are like, yes, the ice cream machine. As you talk about Frontier AI, I lived it. I know exactly what you're talking about. And every airline has their own stupid rules about juveniles flying on their plane and who needs to pay hundreds of dollars to be accompanied. Meanwhile, the best out there, Southwest, they're like, is the kid over 12? You're in. And that's it. They win all the business then for me for that. So anyway, we'll keep talking about it. We got to cut away for a break. We're going to come back, take care of some business, but then Carol, everybody else will get to you in the text as well. 303-696-1971. It's George Brauchler on The George Show, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. It's that time of the show where we get to be made smarter by the great folks at Alpine Planning. If it's Monday, it must be Amy. Amy, how are you?
Good morning, George. Arguably one of the top 5 guitar riffs ever.
Amen to that. I like where you're going.
Oh, my goodness. I just love me some Back in Black.
Bam. So. Are we back in the black?
Well, we're mixed this morning, so okay. I'll jump right
back in the
there.
Mixed.
Excuse me. So right now we've got the Dow off only about 20 points, so S&P positive about 15, NASDAQ's up about 100. This is coming off last week where all 3 indices suffered losses of over 2%. So the August slide has continued. And why did that occur? It's really not recession risk right now that markets are pricing in, but really just digesting this new normal of higher interest rates, higher bond yields. Really, if you think about it, no one under the age of 40 has ever invested in an environment that hasn't been characterized by zero interest rate policy. So new normal to digest. But the reality for Brian and Gabe and I is, we think markets were a little bit ahead of themselves the last couple of months. And so we were due for a slowdown. Certainly nothing to panic about. But last week alone, Americans put $36 billion into money market funds because some of those are yielding over 5%. So what are we watching this week? We've got the Federal Reserve with their annual symposium Thursday and Friday, maybe Friday and Saturday. I know it starts this weekend in Jackson Hole. And then the final innings of the Q2 earnings season, George. This will be a big one for retailers. We've got Macy's, Zoom, Lowe's, Dick's Sporting Goods, Nordstrom, Dollar Tree, just to name a few. So how the American consumer is spending their money should be reflected this week. I believe I've been told that it's Grievance Monday.
It is Grievance Monday.
If you have any questions for me, I'll leave it at that and get away from the boring stuff that no one wants to hear.
No, everybody.
Again,
Amy,
any questions?
I want to hear it. I'm glad you call in because it makes me think about what I'm doing with the money. And typically it's, I have concerns and then I just stay the course. You know what I mean? Or I'm like, where should I put my money next? So no, this is all very, very helpful. But if you're willing to dip your toe in the pond of Grievance Monday, we'd love to have you there.
I'm happy to dip my toe. So this might be kind of a dork mom / financial advisor answer, but I'm telling you what, George, for someone that frequents King Soopers, my very favorite grocery store, by the way, the self-checkout lines, right? You put down your own dang bags and then it dings you and the poor clerk has to come over because it thinks you're trying to steal groceries.
That's right.
So then you finish bagging all your own groceries, which is no easy task these days. And then it asks you how many bags you want to buy. And of course, about every 4th item, you'd think that I'm a thief because I can't scan things properly with the barcode and it keeps timing itself out. So anyway, I guess my grievance is how maybe these machines are kind of taking over our life and outsmarting hardworking moms like myself. And more importantly, how the hardworking clerks that don't ever seem to have a problem ringing up your groceries are being displaced and they need pensions to retire.
They do.
So there's my grievance.
And the bags thing still pisses me off that we're now, and it's not the store that wants to charge you. It's the law that's making them.
Do you want to buy, George? How many bags?
I'd really
That's always the final question.
I'd like to buy 0. I'm looking for that first thief, the first person that doesn't pay for bags. And then they're like, as you know, you don't even have to pay, Amy. You could take the whole cart outside and they'll just let you go because they do not stop thieves at King Soopers. So maybe you save yourself a little heartache and them a little wear and tear on the technology. Just take your stuff out, wave to them, be like, I'm sure this is okay. You're not a thief. I'm
actually next week just going to try pushing my card out without ring. No, that was no, I would never do that.
Have one of your kids do it. Do one because the kids is unprosecutable. How old's your oldest?
She is 6. She
can't be prosecuted. Just say, Mommy will meet you at the car. Let's see if you're strong enough to push this cart all the way out to the car.
George.
I'm telling you.
George, you and your capitalist.
Some would say criminals. Some might call that child abuse, but I don't think it's either of those things from where I'm sitting. Amy, as always, wonderful to chat with you. And this grievance will spawn something else. Oh, if you haven't gone to Sam's Club, They've figured it out, man. Like, you have an app where you can ring up your own stuff as you're shopping. You hit the barcode, it rings it up, you pay for it. You don't even have to stop at the register.
What if the Wi-Fi's down? Then you're still hosed. You know what I
Okay,
mean?
if the Wi-Fi,
and then I can't even hack into my own cell phone.
Good point.
I guess I just need a technology.
And by the way,
what I need.
What if the power shuts down and then you're shopping in the dark? And then how do you get her? Good point, Amy.
Although I don't think apps need the internet, but that shows my naivete.
This one you do. You need the Wi-Fi here, but it's great.
Yeah, you have a fabulous Monday, and thank you always for your time.
Always. Alpine Planning Group is a comprehensive financial planning firm committed to improving your long-term financial and grocery shopping success. Investing is a matter of trust, and they're prepared to earn yours. Call them today, 303-843-0918, 303-843-0918. We'll see you at the grocery store, Amy.
Thanks, George.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Woodbury Financial Services, Inc., member FINRA SIPC and registered investment advisor. Alpine Planning Group and Woodbury Financial Services, Inc. are not affiliated entities. 14 West Dry Creek Circle, Littleton, Colorado, 80120.
It's impossible to imagine that we've made it halfway through a show, but man, when something's hot, you write it. Carol, Mark, everybody else calling in at 303-696-1971. It's still Grievance Monday. Stick around. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.
Why should you buy your next vehicle at Castle Rock Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram? We make car shopping easy. We have a huge inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles. We can even custom order. We make it easy. Easy financing, friendly staff. And when it comes to quality service, our expert technicians keep your vehicle in top shape. Visit us today off of Highway 25 and Plum Creek, or shop online at castlerockcdjr.com. Castle Rock Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Car shopping made easy.
Imagine the lifelong impact of a journey to the Holy Land, surrounded by like-minded travelers. Picture yourself stepping foot in iconic locations right out of history. With nationally syndicated radio hosts Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher, you'll gain firsthand understanding of the spiritual and political importance of this vital region.
Hi, it's Mike Gallagher here. I hope you'll join Dennis Prager and me on an amazing journey through Israel in October 2023.
Discover Israel's vibrant culture and why this nation is such a strategic partner for the United States. Join Dennis Prager and Mike Gallagher on this life-enriching Israel tour, October 25th through November 3rd, 2023. For more information, call 855-565-5519 or visit standwithisraeltour.com.
Want to take your favorite radio station wherever you go? Well, now there's an app for that. No matter where you are, stream your favorite shows. Tap the app to listen to podcasts. Talk back to your favorite local hosts.
At the tone, leave a message.
Call the show. Set your alarm. Enter contests and win prizes. All in the palm of your hand. Available now for iOS and Android devices in the App Store or Google Play. And best of all, it's free. Download today. Want to take your favorite radio station wherever you go?
George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. We're halfway through the Monday show. It's a segment that we did regularly for a while. And then I think it just, we ended up moving on to a whole bunch of other stuff and we lost sight of it. But my goodness, it's back by popular demand. And I'm going to say literally in the actual literal way it's supposed to be used, literally by popular demand. It's called Grievance Monday. Joan got us kicked off. We had some Sherrie Peif. We even had Amy Duncan from Alpine Planning. Everybody has a grievance to air. This is a great place to do it. If you've not called in to a radio show before, maybe you don't want to talk with the host about the current event stuff. You don't want to out yourself as being this or that because someone's going to recognize your voice and pretty soon you're on the unemployment line, living unhoused, and Mike Johnson's at your front door saying you got to get off the sidewalk. You don't want to be that person. I get it, but this is different. You get to complain about customer service right here on 710 KNUS. It's easy to do. We have texts coming in. We also, and you can text us off the app, the 710 KNUS app, which is a great way to listen to the show. But you can also get us on the phone, 303-696-1971. True to my word, Carol from Lakewood, you're on 710. Carol, what's your grievance this Monday?
Well, we were talking about the McDonald's thing.
Yeah, McDonald's, right.
Yeah, I went up to McDonald's here in Lakewood about a month ago, and I ordered some food for my husband, and I didn't want anything to eat, but I wanted a milkshake. They said their milkshake machine was down, and I said, do you have any ice cream, like a cone?
Yeah.
And they gave me a cone. So if they have ice cream, they gave me a cone.
Huh. Does the ice cream machine, is that different than the shake machine?
I don't know, because we go to Jason's Deli over here.
Oh, Jason's Deli is wonderful.
Yeah, and they give you free ice cream cones.
They do. It's one of the great things about finishing up your meal. Whether you do the salad bar, some delicious sandwich, you head over there and you just crush some cupful. And usually, if you use the cups they set out, Carol, you're missing out. You've got to go get some kind of a soup bowl, and they're never guarding them the way they should behind the counter. They're just right there, arm's reach. You go grab a soup bowl, and you just set yourself up with enough ice cream there that by the time you roll into the house, you're ready for nappy.
I'll have to remember that.
Oh, absolutely.
But if you really want good ice cream, go over to McGill's ice cream off Jewel.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they have homemade ice cream over there.
That's the best stuff. But interesting. There's something to this, Carol, and I hope Sherrie Peif gets to the bottom of it. There's something going on with the ice cream machines and the McDonald's franchisees. I asked Billy off the air. I'm like, hey, is there any chance we get someone on from McDonald's to talk about this? And Billy's answer was, never, ever, never. No, there's no chance McDonald's will ever come on the air to discuss what turns out to be one of the great conspiracies of the modern era, the McDonald's shake machine. Carol, thank you so much for this great advice.
Okay. And also on a little thing when you open the show.
Yeah.
Take the doctor thing off, because I just went over to do a mammogram thing. And they took something out of my right breast. So if it wasn't for a doctor, and I don't even know yet if it's negative or...
I hope it's negative, Carol. I hope it's...
Yeah, I know, because you need to take that off, because you need doctors. You don't need attorneys so much.
But what? Wait a minute. Dr. Julia, who's a friend of the show and our resident oral maxillofacial surgeon expert, because every radio station needs one, she agrees with you. Every time I see her, she's like, why do you keep saying doctor's a useless profession? I'm like, it's not me. It's Parks and Rec, man.
Well, see, my doctor up at New West Physicians is leaving. And I've had
to go do what, though?
Doctors.
McDonald's franchise?
Well, no. She went because of what's going on up there. But there's 3 women doctors I've had up there, and all of them keep leaving on me. So she left on Friday, and she's probably...
Carol, the common denominator in each of those departures is you. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I don't think it's you that's doing it.
Well,
but I do think you're touching upon something that's another topic of the day, and that is what is happening to the medical profession. There's less people going into it, more people bailing.
Well, the thing is, too, I go to Panorama because I had a knee replacement.
Sure.
I had an ankle replacement down in Texas. And both of my doctors down in Texas, the one that did the original when I was riding, I was doing polo down there. But the one that did my regular operation, he died at 58
oh my
of a heart
goodness.
attack.
That's awful.
So yeah, so here the next one that did my ankle replacement, he died also.
But Carol, you are like the final destination for the medical profession. You show up and people either pass away or leave the profession.
Well, that's what the doctor up here says when I go up to see him for my ankle replacement.
Maybe he's like, hey, I can't see you anymore, Carol. I love life.
Oh, well, he said, you're a black widow. I said, no, I'm not. but I think the doctor down in Texas, when he died, I think he died of the coronavirus before they knew what it was.
Oh.
He died in 2020.
Carol, here's what I believe, and I'm going to cut you loose so I can make room for others. Thank you for this. Carol, my guess is one of the other callers on the line here, and Carol's line is open, 303-696-1971, is going to be a physician who says, I have a patient in our practice, and every time she shows up, one of my colleagues dies. I think there's that connection, Carol. I don't know. We're going to go right back to the phone lines. Mark from Englewood, you're on 710 KNUS. What's your grievance?
My grievance, you've already covered one of my grievances. It's the plastic bags.
Oh, yeah.
My God, we've got so many other things to worry about. And the governor and the legislature decided to tax bags at 10 cents a bag, which is like ridiculous. We have a whole lot of other things. The other thing I've got is, little plastic kids playing signs.
Yep, that's right.
I'm getting tired of seeing those around. They're not traffic control devices. Usually you see them where people have backyards, or better yet, a park down the street. But I'm supposed to, people driving the street are supposed to go around them so their children can play in the street. I was always told as a kid not to play in the street.
I at least appreciate that what they're trying to do is at least give you some knowledge that you can then apply. Like, for instance, you may see that sign and think, well, I'm obviously going to accelerate. But others may see that and take a different approach. I think that what I'm inclined to believe Billy does is he takes them and sticks them in his fender and then just drives down the street as if to say, I didn't see it. Something like that. The bags thing is crazy. I was just getting used to the stupid straw thing. Have you had that experience, Mark, where you get a drink, they give you the straw, you touch it to your lips, and you instantly realize it's a paper product. And you're like, well, this has a 15-minute shelf life before it turns into mush.
I have had that, and that usually my drink is done in 15 minutes anyway. That doesn't bother me so much.
Awful. Refill. What if you do a refill?
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Mark, are you there?
Out here.
Mark, you must have Verizon and you must be in Douglas County because you're well, there it is. That's it right there. As soon as you say Verizon, they cut you off. Listen, Louis and others calling into 303-696-1971. I promise that we're going to get to you. I want to tell you about a way to not have a grievance. And that is, if you're in the real estate market, you want to call Gay Ribble and the Empower Home team of Keller Williams. They don't get grievances. What they get are accolades. They get repeat business. They get word of mouth business because they do it at the highest possible level of customer service all day, every day. They're willing to bind themselves through something called guarantees to a level of performance that nobody else in the real estate world seems to be doing these days. They will promise to sell your house in the time and for a dollar amount that you guys agree upon. If not, they make it right with something called money. They sell more quickly than others because they got 14,000 plus buyers in waiting for you to list your home. They also sell for more money on average than others. Same reason. They got people fighting over your property, and then they help you out on the other end, which is to help you get into. Sometimes these guys are so good. They've been around so long. They get to know about properties before they hit the MLS or whatever that's called, Major League Soccer, whatever that thing is. They get to know about it ahead of time. Be a beneficiary of their expertise, their experience, their connections, and their commitment to you. You just got to give them a call at 833-301-SOLD, 833-301-SOLD, 833-301-SOLD. Or you can also check them out at gayhasthebuyers.com. Gay is G-A-Y-E. She's great. Gayhasthebuyers.com. Going right back to the phone lines. Louis from Highlands Ranch, you're on 710. Sir, what do you think?
All right. Good morning, George. How you
Hello.
doing?
I'm living the dream. What's your
Hello.
grievance, my man?
Here is my grievance. I am an employee that works downtown Denver. I have to park in the parking lot. And so I've started trying different parking lots. Some of the lots are now raising their rates. Some of them have doubled their rates. Some are $16 a day. Some are $20 a day. Some are $4 a day. But those are in the areas down near Five Points where there's tent city. So people are reluctant to park down there. I found a lot on 21st and Glenarm Place. It is posted by Nationwide Parking Services. There's two lots there, 2105 Glenarm Place, 2137 Glenarm Place. They have identical signs in a couple places that say Glenarm lot. The other says the address on there. So they both say $4 for 12 hours. So I went and I paid parking, 8:15 in the morning, paid, got a receipt emailed to me from Nationwide Parking Services.
Okay.
Thank you. You paid for the day. I go to work. I come back at 5 o'clock and I got an $87 ticket on my windshield. And I'm going, what the heck is this? So they said, oh, you didn't pay for parking.
What?
Well, no, I did. You sent me yes. So I contacted Nationwide Parking Services. And long story short, they say, well, we'd regulate the parking in both lots. Those signs are identical, but the lot you parked in is owned by someone else than the 2137 lot. So because you didn't park in the appropriate lot, then that's a violation. You have to pay $87.
Oh, buddy.
And I said, well, how?
The appellate
how am I
process
as a
for that's got to be
consumer?
garbage.
Right, because I said, how as a consumer am I supposed to know that one lot is owned by a different owner than the other one? And they say, well, we can't. And I said, it's not posted that way. So I'm not going to pay your ticket. Other employees that I work with and other people I've heard, they've got the same $87 scam ticket. So long story short, I went to the mayor's office and I talked to the new assistant to the mayor.
Yeah.
And he was really nice. And he listened to me at 5 o'clock in the evening.
This is
Send me
the
this
mayor, Mike
information.
Johnston, the new mayor?
Mike Johnson.
Oh, what a great story.
The new mayor. Yeah. So I went in, talked to one of his executive assistants, and I sent him an email. And that was over a week and a half ago. I haven't heard anything back yet. But I complained. I said, if you want people to come and enjoy Denver, if you want people to work downtown in Denver, then they have to do it in a flexible, reasonable manner. And for these parking lots like Nationwide Parking to be suddenly throwing $87 tickets at everybody, that's not helping our situation at all.
Well, if you accept the idea, and I have, that Denver's ultimate goal is to become a walkable city, not by making it walkable, but by making it so car unfriendly, ain't nobody driving down there anyway. This is all part of this master plan. They're going to let these private companies run amok, crushing you, because at the end of the day, they want people to think, drive to Denver? No, thanks. I think the problem with that is it's going to lead to the Broncos moving to Aurora, Elitch's moving to Aurora. I mean, there's just places people want to be other than Denver just because of the things you're talking about.
Exactly. But, there are experts too in zoning and planning and future planning that say, why are you destroying all these old historic buildings in Denver and building parking lots everywhere? Why is that happening?
Yeah.
Because you're destroying the history of your city.
No doubt about it. Louis, great call, by the way. The parking thing is real. That's TSIR. The struggle is real. Louis, thank you for the call. We're going to get to Judy from Denver. Judy, you're on 710 KNUS. Judy, what do you think? What's your grievance?
I am so irritated. Actually, I'm in Parker.
Oh, great.
And I am so disgusted with the lack of enforcement from these homeowners associations. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think they have lien rights. They collect our money, and yet if you have a hangnail, they cite you. I've been living next to what looks like a wild preserve for the last 7 years, and they won't do anything about it. It is disgusting.
What? Why not? Have you gone to the board? Have you gone to the HOA board and say, what the hell?
I have screamed. I have yelled. I even went to Dora, and they said, well, sorry, we don't regulate them. How in the hell these will be regulated if they collect our money? They are not regulated through Dora. They said, well, you have to go back and fire them. Well, that means I have to go through this entire subdivision to get all these people, they're not going to do that.
Maybe
It
if
is
they feel like you
disgusting.
do, maybe they will. But Judy, here's the other thing. You may not have seen this in the paper or on the news, but there's a move to further emasculate HOAs because there are some, not like yours, that are super active in enforcing violations of their code. They get the liens, and they've even in some cases forced the sale of a home to cover down on what they cost. So the legislature, of course, is like, we can't have people held accountable for their failures. That's somebody else's fault. So they're going to pass a law. They're going to offer one this next session that will emasculate HOAs from being able to actually enforce the covenants you agree upon. Remember, the ultimate goal of this is to allow them to put up an 8-family unit right next to your single family home. That's their goal.
Yes, understood. And I think I just had to, I'm not kidding. If I have to sell my home, and I don't live in a bad area, I live in Hidden River. If I have to sell my home, I'm going to have to do it during the winter when those damn weeds are gone. You want to see it. I'd love for you to drive by it. It's disgusting. And they just let it go on year after year.
Honestly,
after
Judy,
year. And
not a lot of people would say, I'd love for you to drive by my neighborhood. It's disgusting. Not a lot of folks say that.
Well, but the point is that they let these weeds encroach. I bet they're about 3 feet tall in the front yard.
Oh, that's Jurassic Park stuff.
I looked out in the backyard one time, and I promise to let you go. But I looked out in the backyard one time. This is a fenced-in backyard, and there was a herd of deer. It's like, how the hell?
Mm-hmm.
And it's just awful.
Normally, you have to be growing marijuana to get the 3-foot-high plants.
So thanks for letting me get that out. I've been
No, I love it.
Years.
Oh, no, I love it. And I want you to try to unseat those on the HOA board and flex your muscle while you can, because I'm telling you, the libs in the legislature who don't belong to any HOA don't understand why they exist, think that they're only there to thwart allowing people to put up a condominium next to your single family home. They're coming for it. Next year, this next session, they will emasculate the HOAs even further than they have so far.
Great. Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Judy. That was Judy from Parker, not Denver, on 710 KNUS. Listen, we're going to cut away for a break. When we come back, we'll get to the text, and there are texts about the grievance stuff. If you want to call in, get that cathartic moment of just simply complaining to the tens of jillions of listeners and podcast listeners and video viewers out there, now's your chance. 303-696-1971. I do want to, before I cut away, tell you about Mitch Floria from the Art of Granite. Here's another guy, just doesn't get complaints. Instead, it's the word of mouth stuff he gets from people like you picking up the phone and calling him, going out to his showroom right there at about 6th Avenue in Colfax, checking it out, and agreeing to have your kitchen countertops and bathroom countertops upgraded. That's all he does is upgrade. You couldn't call him up and say, I want my kitchen to look worse. He wouldn't know how to do it. Guy's a craftsman. He's been in this business forever. And he does it largely by providing, again, guarantees that no one else will. Here's the risk, and this is really a warning. This is the caveat. You go out to a showroom, you check out the stuff he does with, it's more than granite, marble, quartz, fill in the blank. Bring the credit card, or at least the Apple Pay, because you're going to leave there having signed up with him, because you're going to say, I can't believe he can do this kind of magic for this kind of price. He passes on the wholesale prices to you, and you're going to have an extra special card in your pocket, because as you close the deal, you're going to say, oh, by the way, Mitch, I'm a 710 George listener. And he's going to go, dang, you just jumped on top of the benefits train right here. I'm going to throw in your bathroom countertop for free with your kitchen countertop package. You're going to love that. Or maybe you'll say, you know what? I just want to do one room at a time. How about we just do the kitchen? And he's going to say, that's cool. I'll throw in the sink for free with the kitchen countertop. That's Mitch Floria. You give him a call on the cell phone that rings in his pocket, 303-386-5919, 303-386-5919. That's Mitch Floria at theartofgranite.com. 4 words all put together in front of the .com, theartofgranite.com. When we come back, your text, your calls at 303-696-1971. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.
Want to take your favorite radio station wherever you go? Well, now there's an app for that. No matter where you are, stream your favorite shows. Tap the app to listen to podcasts. Talk back to your favorite local hosts.
At the tone, leave a message.
Call the show. Set your alarm. Enter contests and win prizes, all in the palm of your hand. Available now for iOS and Android devices in the App Store or Google Play. And best of all, it's free. Download today.
George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. The music stylings of one William Thorpe bumper music right here. Here's some text coming in right now. You can always hit us on the 710 KNUS app. You need to see the Facebook meme about all the products you buy at the grocery store that are packaged in plastics, but when you go check out, you're faced with how bad the plastics are and how dare you need a plastic bag to carry out your groceries out of the store. It's just hilarious. When I respond to some of these texts lately, and Billy, this is as much for you as anyone, when I hit return, sometimes it like double sends them. I don't know what that is, but there it is. Here's one. The parking issue is regulated by the Public Utilities Commission, not the city of Denver. Those tickets are not issued by any government entity. What's interesting about that is if you get one of those tickets, you can go to court, an actual city municipal court. So I'm not sure how that works. If it's not a government entity, how they're accessing a government entity for their enforcement. But it's Denver. Everything is different in Denver, as you know. They are an island unto themselves. Predatory parking enforcement, agreed. Here's one. I've never heard anyone complain about too much ice cream. Wish I had her problem. My response was TSIR. Yo, George, please note the next time you go through King Stupoid's self-checkout that the screen asks how many bags you like to purchase and not how many did you use. Now, that's genius. So you're not really stealing because the answer you give is, I'd like to purchase 0. I like that. 303-696-1971 is the number, going right back to the phones. Paul, you're on 710. What's your grievance, my man? Hello, Paul.
Oh, this is Bob.
Bob, it says Paul on
Okay.
the call. Sorry, Bob. I am so sorry. Bob, is your grievance that call hosts continue to call you by the wrong name? Because that just happened.
Hey, I have a complaint about the state sales tax refund.
Okay.
I filed my taxes late, so they say I'm not entitled to a state sales tax refund because I filed late.
What?
Yep, that's what they said. And then I sent them a letter protesting, and they sent me a letter back and pretty much said, it's too bad. Game's over.
If you've overpaid or they owe you money, how can they put a cutoff? What's the cutoff? How many days did they give you to do this? Now, Bob, if you're going to tell me this was from 1988, I'm not going to have much sympathy. But if this is from like April, I'll be like, what the heck?
Yes, it is. I've used TurboTax for the last couple of years, and for some reason, I've had problems with them this year. I mean, they're a good company. It may be something I did. And anyway, I filed late, and I got this thing back from the state and says, I'm not entitled to the sales tax refund.
That sucks because, of course, they will always get your money from you. Even if they find out 3 years from now that you owed and you didn't pay, they're going to come get you. But if they owe you and you don't claim it within a certain period of time, that's the other thing, too, about customer service. You probably had this experience, Bob, where you buy something and it charges your credit card immediately. But if you call up and say, hey, I don't want it anymore, I want a refund, they're like, well, we'll process your refund in 8 to 12 business days. And you're like, wait, what the hell are you talking about? You took my money in a millisecond and it takes you 8 to 12 business days to get it back. There's some fraud going on there.
Yes, well, I just wanted to let you know and let the other people out there to know that don't file your taxes late because they're going to keep your money.
If you file them, but you ask for an extension, same thing, or did you have to ask for an extension to be able to stretch out that deadline?
No, I didn't ask for an extension. I just filed it late.
Well, this is Bob. Now you're starting to reveal yourself as a bit of a scofflaw here. I don't know what we're going to do. I hope this confession doesn't lead to a knock at your door.
Okay. Well, my wife and I are going to make an appointment and go down there and talk to them.
It sounds like you're turning yourself in. Bob, I appreciate that. As a lawman, I appreciate your willingness to do that. Hey, man, thanks for the call.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thanks, Bob. That's a good one there. Who knew that the state would try to hose you out of your Oh, that's right. This is the same government that put preparation HH on the ballot for you to give up your Tabor refunds for eternity and never use the word Tabor refunds to describe what they're stealing from you. And I say stealing because it's not really consent if they don't tell you what they're doing, right? That doesn't feel like they can accurately get your consent, but the courts are in bed with them as well, too, and let them pick whatever language they want to mislead you. Anyway, I've got my own grievance today. I'm going to share it with you before we get to the text and whatnot. I didn't even ask Billy if you have one too, but we will. So Amanda took off on Friday for the UAE. And by the way, my goodness, she has become so independent. This is a parent grievance. This isn't even a consumer grievance. There are folks out there. Amanda really kicked butt in mock trial all the way up through the state level. She won some big award like best cross-examination and best all this other. I mean, she was great at it. And people would routinely say, well, clearly, she's got dad at home. And I'm like, I honest to God can't take any credit for it unless it was genetic, because she refused to involve me in the preparation for these things. I would beg her, like, Dad wants to be helpful. That's what dads do. So I'm like, what can I do? I mean, you happen to be in a home with a guy who's done a trial or two. Turns out I'm not awful at it. Maybe. And she, one time, we sat down and spent 30 minutes going over a cross-examination, and in years, that was it. Well, that independence has only blown up since she's left home and gone to college, and it's becoming offensive. So she's flying from Denver to Boston on Friday, and then she's going to go from Boston to Zurich and Zurich to Dubai, and on her way to her semester abroad there. And so, like any dad, first off, I have to beg her to give me the flight information. It took until she was at the airport leaving to send me the flight information. So I check on it. I'm monitoring the flight because that's what dads do. And I find out that the connecting flight from Boston to Zurich has been canceled. Huge problem, because she's got to be in school, like, one of the next days and all that. So there's orientation or something. So I'm texting her on the plane. I'm like, hey, flight's been canceled, blah, blah, blah. Here are some alternatives. And she's texting back, I've got it. I just you don't need to help me. I'm like, you're at 30 million feet flying to Boston and you're I'll take care of it. So of course I'm instantly crushed because I can't help my daughter. She gets on the ground and somehow figures out a way to get herself booked on a direct flight that night from Boston directly to Dubai on Emirates Air. I don't know how she did it. It didn't cost an extra penny, but I'm like, okay, damn, you did have this one. No problem. But then the panic sets in when I get these frantic texts. And I remember they're about 10 hours ahead there in Dubai. And so it's the middle of the night. Hey, my SIM card is locked. I can't unlock my SIM card. And if I can't unlock the SIM card on this Verizon phone, I cannot make any cell calls. I'm trapped to Wi-Fi. I mean, I can only communicate from Wi-Fi, and I got to be outside the building all the time. So a lot of panic sets in. All of a sudden now Dad's superpowers matter. Only Dad can't make it work because Verizon blows. So here's what happens is she'd bought this iPhone 14. She'd had the iPhone 8 forever. Finally got the iPhone 14 like a week before she leaves. Great. I'm glad she upgraded. And so I call Verizon, and it's a Saturday. And it's so like mid-afternoon for me. So it's evening for her, middle of the night. I call them up, I do my thing, or I finally talk to someone who I presume is from the India, Pakistan region. And they talk me through how sorry they are, because they're always sorry. They're always so very sorry. They're very, very, very sorry. And then they start telling me about why they can't unlock the SIM card. And they can't unlock the SIM card because Verizon has a policy, and it's meant to prevent theft and fraud, where you can't unlock a SIM card for, wait for it, 90 days after the purchase of a phone. And I'm like, that does not help a person who just moved for 4 months to the Middle East with your product. There's got to be a way to undo this. And so that turned out to be a huge cluster. I'm texting Amanda. It's 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. in there. At some point, she drops off the text. I thought, oh, maybe it was because she did something to her phone and now there's no connectivity. No, she just went to sleep. So then when she gets up, she's like, hey, is it fixed? I'm like, no, they needed to talk to you on the phone, but they couldn't hang on for your nap, So I tried to call them back. Well, because mine's a business account, business line, a associated number or something like that, they're like, hey, the business office is closed until 6 a.m. on Monday. And I'm like, what? So Amanda's freaked out. One thing leads to another. There's a help ticket issued here. I press a whole bunch of numbers on the phone to try to reach someone not AI, because AI sucks. I mean, folks, if you're ever worried about like Cyberdyne, taking over and they become self-aware, just do what Joan did. Try to navigate Frontier's AI customer service thing, and you quickly realize we're okay. They're never going to defeat us with that kind of technology because they're maroons. So we finally get this part figured out, and then sure enough, as I think Verizon, through 8 billion hours on the phone, we finally figured this out. I get a text while I'm on the radio with you this morning from Amanda saying, hey, can you please call Verizon? The SIM card thing is still locked. So I don't know. It's just, and Verizon, by the way, and I've been a Verizon customer for going on 2 decades here. You suck when it comes to coverage. Douglas County, you hate Douglas County. Got to be per capita one of the richest counties in the state of Colorado, probably some of your biggest consumers of Verizon products, and you suck because the coverage there blows all day, every day. If you're in Parker, no good coverage. If you're in Castle Pines, no good coverage. They know it and they just don't care. So if you're in the Castle Pines area or the Parker area and you get great reception all the time, I'd love to know what that is because I'm in the market to change it up because Verizon sucks. Billy, I'm so sorry. I just talked us through a bunch of minutes of me whining. Did you have a grievance? I didn't want to cheat you out of it.
Well, I'm just saying, have you tried T-Mobile? I've been with T-Mobile like you, like more than 2 decades, and they give you free stuff.
What do you mean?
Let's see. Is it is it T-Mobile? I think it's my Peacock, a subscription that comes through T-Mobile, and also once a week they've got this little app you can download, and they give you discounts and free stuff like $5 movie tickets and 30% off stuff at Adidas or 40% off Puma.
You
or
ever
Adidas.
have coverage problems? Because I travel all the time.
No,
out
but
of
again,
the country.
I don't travel as much as you do, so chances are, my sample size is much smaller. So I don't know.
That's
but
what
I
the
do
internet
know.
says.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, it's one that we were talking about earlier. I got a little bit of a grievance. And I understand why, but I got a grievance. We've got a Queen box set thing coming out.
Well, thank you.
And they're dropping a song, and I'm kind of mad about it. I mean, okay, I get it, but why?
They're dropping a song off of their greatest hits album.
Yeah, exactly. And it's Fat Bottom Girls. And I just
is this
I
like
just,
a
I'm
post
disappointed.
Barbie woke thing? Is
I
that
don't
what's
know.
going on?
I don't know. I'm disappointed. I don't see any reason to. It is one of their greatest hits. I don't understand any reason why they drop it off. But okay, I mean, again, if you're a Queen fan, you have the song. You already have the song. So the fact that it's not on this particular album or download or whatever the hell it is, okay, fine. I can get over that. But it's just kind of the principles thing for me that it just bothers me. Just kind of rubs me the wrong way. And that wouldn't be
Daily
on there.
Mail has an article now that you mentioned it about this. And by the way, there's a 1978 picture from the Queen album.
Yeah.
And it is a aforementioned Fat Bottom girl in a little bikini bottoms on a bicycle. And it has Bicycle Race on it, Fat Bottom Girls. I can't believe 78. I mean, dang.
I know. Yeah. And I keep thinking about what are they going to do with the next AC/DC greatest hits? Because we got one in there that's lurking as well that isn't going to go over so well. Again, fans of the band, you guys were talking about Back in Black earlier.
Right.
That's the first
With Amy,
single. It's the first single they recorded with Brian Johnson after Bon Scott drank himself to death. And that album is a tribute to Bon Scott. They actually had the title to Back in Black before they ever wrote the music. And part of that guitar riff is a warm-up exercise that Angus Young used to play. Again, way too much stuff in here. Also, the one that they have to worry about is, hang on a sec here.
We're getting phone calls, folks. Keep it going. 303-696-1971. It just delays Billy's story.
Yes, AC/DC. So the thing is, they've got a song out there that can be offensive to people. Do you know which one that might be?
Which band?
AC/DC.
No.
It's a song about a groupie.
Oh, no. Give it up. Tell me.
Whole Lot of Rosie. No, it's a Bon Scott song, Whole Lot of Rosie. And here's the reason. There's a story behind it that it's not the name. Rosie's not the person's name, but Bon Scott had a thing for the larger women. That's who he found attractive. And there's a story that they're backstage and this large woman actually basically announces backstage, okay, who wants some? And Bon Scott's like, me.
No way.
Yes.
This is a real thing.
It's a real story and it's a real song. And it's about his predilection for the larger women. And so I'm just wondering, that's never going to be included. That's a really good song.
So we're now going to go back in time and start erasing from these canons of these music greats
except
songs that don't appeal to us now.
Yeah, except if you're talking about Black Eyed Peas and Fergie, Lady Lumps. You can't, they're not doing that one. But
this is
I'm going to go talk to the phone.
One of the lyrics here from this song now 45 years later. This is from Fat Bottom Girls. Left alone with Big Fat Fanny. She was such a naughty nanny. Big woman, you made a bad boy out of me. That I've sang that song a billion times. It's just a fun song. It's not meant to denigrate anyone. It is, but it's not that people can't be offended by everything all the time. That seems to happen, but that's a pretty good grievance, Billy. That makes a lot of sense to me. Listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to cut away for a break right after I tell you about my dentist. And then we're going to get Rusty and everybody else at 303-696-1971 and the texts that are coming in. Hit us on the 710 KNUS app. We'll get through these grievances. It's cathartic, folks. Share, express, vent, complain, all of it right here on 710 KNUS, but not until I tell you about Doctors Richter and Snyder. Again, I'd never hear complaints about these folks. Like every once in a while, when you're doing this thing on the radio and you're doing live reads, you come to get to know these people on a first name basis. You go out, you see them. For me, it was, I don't want to do a read for a dentist that I don't use. So I went down and did it. And you're always prepared to be underwhelmed. It was the opposite. In fact, they're my regular dentist now. I got another appointment up for them sometime. Got to be this fall because I see them every 6 months, which is the way it's supposed to be. And I can't wait to see pictures of Dr. Snyder's new baby. But Dr. Richter and Snyder, great staff, great environment right there at Parker and Stroh Road. Very easy to get to from just about any direction. They're also committed to the community and you, not just making the dollars. And the reason you know that is because they provide their own sort of discounted plan for folks that don't have the dental insurance that you really deserve and that you need to have. They can do it all. They do the, whether it's the state-of-the-art stuff with the cone beam x-ray machine, the bridges, the crowns, the dental implants. They do the Invisalign stuff. All that stuff is available for them. And if you ever struggle to figure out how am I going to make this work, I promise you call these folks. They're going to figure out a way to make you happy. 303-841-7466. Call them. Set up that appointment. 303-841-7466, 303-841-7466, or visit them at twinaspendentalcenter.com. That's Twin Aspen Dental Center. All 4 words put together before the .com. When we come back, your calls, your text, George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. Getting right back to the phone lines with the time that we have left because we love us some callers. Rusty from Denver, you're on 710. What's your grievance?
Hey, George, how you doing?
Living the dream, man. What's going on?
You know, and this pun is intended, but I want to weigh in on the fat bottom girls question.
Good one, yeah.
You know what's really ironic about it is until her star kind of set for other reasons, Lizzo was a big thing. Again, no pun intended.
Right.
And Lizzo is the champion of what they're calling the body positivity movement.
Yeah.
And I'm not intimately familiar with the lyrics to that particular song, but it seems like it's seriously glorifying the fat bottom girls, right?
Yeah.
So why is it being banned? And I'm also not certain it's being banned. Maybe there was some space constraints or something.
They're just pulling it. They're just pulling it, but you wonder if they're not doing it in advance of some sort of wokey movement kind of thing. I don't know.
I don't know, but it's I hope not, but it probably is because there seems to be so many things happening right now that make absolutely no sense.
The Alexa texted in and said, "Hey, remember they tried canceling Baby It's Cold Outside because it's of its suggestive nature." And then I was thinking of Baby Got Back. What happened to Baby Got Back? Why isn't that one equally offensive?
Well, they should really cancel the whole genre of rap, honestly, to be honest with you.
There are some rap songs that are very much objectify women in a very degrading way, but not all of rap is that way. Some of it just. I know. Well, Two Live Crew is Billy's response. Two Live Crew.
Republican, right-wing Nazi.
Yeah. Here's
but
another.
One thing.
Go ahead.
On a more this is off topic, but it's I think more serious. I read an interesting article on townhall.com today talking about how Trump has no way of winning the election.
What?
And then in the comment section below it was a long discussion amongst everybody that was commenting about whether or not he really lost the election.
Oh boy.
Last time. And that's not the argument. That's not the debate people should be having because it's history, it's done, it's baked in. All that really matters to me is unfortunately not his accomplishments and not whether or not he lost the election, but whether he can win. And I don't think he has a snowball's chance in hell, given everything against him, given the lack of his popularity.
It's kind of a perfect way to end, Rusty, and thank you for the call because I want to talk to you about some stuff that came out. It kind of dovetails nicely off of a conversation you and I had on Friday, but there's been some updates and changes to it. We'll talk about that. A couple different things about whether Donald Trump can even appear on the ballot. Stick around. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. It's that final hour of the Monday show. Now, listen, if you are a regular and longtime listener, you know that Grievance Monday had been a staple of the early parts of the show. And then for various reasons, here, there, and everywhere, we did this and we did that. And somehow it fell off the radar. But, oh, my gosh, is it back with a vengeance in such a very, very positive way. So we're going to continue that. My gosh, we've had between Amy from Alpine, and she was fantastic, and we had Joan from Lakewood and Sherrie Peif, and then all the other callers that have called in. My God, people have some pent up things they want to discuss about Grievance Monday. Here's how it works. You can complain about almost anything. I tend to be a customer service complainer guy, and I just vented in that last segment. Billy, of course, talked about Queen's self-censorship, I guess, in eliminating fat bottom girls. I wonder if Freddie Mercury would have ever allowed that to happen. I wonder if he would have just been like, shove it, man. I mean, that guy never cared what anybody thought about him, it seemed like, and that's sort of what made him who he was. But we continue to have calls and texts, and I want to get to the call. I want to get to Scott from Idaho Springs, but one of the ones that Billy and I were texting, or I think Mark may have sent this, was, did you see the United pilot with the axe? If I say those words, United pilot with an axe, and you don't instantly know what I'm talking about from the last 48 to 72 hours, you need to Google United pilot with an axe, because it comes right up to only one story. As you can imagine, not a lot of United pilot axe stories out there. But you talk about a grievance, and this was not a grievance settled. I wish he had just called up and complained about the parking regulation arm at the employee parking. But he didn't. He didn't pick up the phone. He picked up an axe, and you can only imagine the mayhem that ensues. Going right to the phone line. Scott from Idaho Springs, you're on 710 KNUS.
I guess that's me. I'm not Idaho Springs, but anyway.
Dang it, Scott. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm in Lakewood.
Okay, I love
but
Lakewood. That's my hometown.
I'm in Aurora at the moment. Oh, so I filled out a lease agreement, an apartment lease agreement last week. 47 pages.
What?
This is all online, and you had to initial each one, and then after you initialed each one, and then each page would say your initial indicates that you completely read this document, and then after that there were another 14 documents that were multi-page documents.
Oh my good Lord.
The radon document was 14 pages by itself.
What did you read any part of it? Did you just say, like, I'm just going to pick a random paragraph and see which kidney I'm giving up?
Yeah, that was basically it. It was, and then the system kept kind of not timing out, but kind of airing out, and then you'd have to go back and you'd have to back arrow and then go back. It was just absolutely ridiculous. And you pay $2,000 a month for a 2-bedroom apartment, and you've got more documents than you fill out for any mortgage that you've ever filled out, if you filled out a mortgage or anything like that.
You're right.
Ridiculous.
I just went through the financing on some stuff recently, and I know what you're talking about. The other thing that's funny is if you look at some of the things you initial, like, for instance, go to a doctor's office, any sort of medical professional, and you're going, and they're not your regular. They're someone you're seeing because you have some sort of a growth on your fill in the blank or whatever. You're going to have something tested or lanced. They have you sign off on a form, one of the pieces of which is, I have been provided with the office's privacy policy, and I agree to it. They never give you the privacy policy. In fact, if you say, hey, it says here, they never expect anyone to read it. People just sign stuff, as you know. If you ever say to them, hey, I didn't get given a copy of this, there are times where they're like, let me see if we have a copy around. I mean, they just have you sign stuff because attorneys are out there trying to keep them from responsibility for anything.
It was painful. It was just painful and irritating.
Yeah, that to me screams some sort of litigious overload. I mean, there's no way you can read it all. If you stood in line for anything and you sat down and tried to read the document, my guess is they become incredibly flummoxed and say, do you want to sit over there while you read it? Do you want to come back and schedule another appointment? We've got to get this done. But the damn lawyers load up these documents with all sorts of things. Maybe in your free time, I know you don't have much, you sit down and just randomly pick page like 41, paragraph 3, and just see what it's talking about. See if you even understand what it says. If I do one of these for a future client, I'm just going to put language in there that says, I agree upon my death that the drafter of this shall receive $500,000 of my estate. Just anything in there. I don't think anybody reads it.
It was painful.
Scott, thank you for that, man.
Okay, that's my grievance.
No, I appreciate that, man. That was Scott, not from Idaho Springs, but from Lakewood and now Aurora at the moment. Some texts that are coming in. I'm sure it's on the radar, but I'm surprised trans activists aren't up in arms over Aerosmith's Dude Looks Like a Lady. Great question. That's a great question. My grievance is with trans activist idiots on both sides. I'd like them to, understand many trans women and men want fair treatment, but not at the expense of others. I think that's very fair. Thank you, Bex, on that. Thank the Colorado legislature for the lease length. Radon is required by law now. And man, this is someone who even knows the Senate bill. It's from last session, Senate Bill 23-206. Why were they able to capture the video of the pilot chopping up the guard arm, but they can't come up with the video for all the stolen cars that are taken out of the parking lot? That's brilliant too. That's brilliant. If you have not seen the United pilot attacking the arm with the axe, it's disturbing to think that this is a fella who was prior to that in a cockpit flying hundreds of human beings from point A to point B, because he seemed like he was really stressed about something. I guess the arm doesn't go up. The footage I've seen, and Billy, I think you probably watched this. I watched it a couple times. I enjoyed it so much. But the guy, first off, why does he have an axe? Who is driving around in their lives with an axe in their car that doesn't also have a firefighter hat with them? Who is that? Billy, do you have an axe in your car? Like, just in case. Billy's shaking his head. No, he doesn't have an axe. How about plastic bags, zip ties, and ammonium?
I'm going to remain silent on that.
You probably should.
Yeah.
What was your impression of the axe video?
I was impressed that he found the axe. That was my first question. I'm like, axe? Okay. And then he comes over and he just attacks that arm. And I like what the texter had to say. Yeah. See, they don't have cameras covering where your cars are. They just have a camera, at the gate. So all they can do is see the thief leave with your automobile. That's all they can do. Or
they can catch you somehow violating the parking restrictions or something.
The thing is, we've all been there. Okay. We've all been there where it's like, oh, and that's why I commonly say it's the reason that I do not have a concealed carry permit, because several times a day,
be honest,
I go,
Billy, that's not the only reason.
That's not the only one. But I go, if only I had a gun, which is exactly the reason I shouldn't have a gun.
Now you can get an axe.
Yeah, exactly. I got to talk to the phone.
Yeah, there's no requirement for a concealed carry for an axe, as best I can tell. But nonetheless, this guy comes out with the axe. You need to go see this video. And he starts whacking at this thing. It's very Jack Nicholson, if you know what I'm talking about from The Shining. It's like, here's Pilot, and he's whacking at this thing, but it doesn't seem to make a difference. I'm wondering, like, have you never watched a Paul Bunyan cartoon or a Brawny commercial? Because he doesn't seem to be making any headway in attacking this arm. And yet when it finally goes up, and inexplicably it goes up, right? It just falls completely off the hinge. It just rolls back and keeps going. This guy isn't done yet. So there are like two workers, no security, by the way, to be found, but two like workers, dudes in pennies, confront this guy, and he gets into a struggle with one of the guys over the axe. At some point, he escapes the fenced-in area and is tracked down and run down by the actual law enforcement guys outside the fence. And they just said he'd made it to his breaking point, and he was currently suspended from flying. Really? I mean, it's one of the craziest things ever. Here's another text. That's axe chopping in the first degree. Definitely premeditated. That's true. That's parking arm murder right there. Here's another one. I wondered about the axe too. Yes, from my friends at DPD. Car thieves called DIA. Listen to this, Billy. Texter, from my friends at DPD. Car thieves called DIA the buffet.
Oh, I can see why.
Oh, I can see why. Good God,
I
man.
was just talking to Rick on the phone, and he said maybe the DIA pilot got it from one of those axe throwing bar places. Have you seen those?
I have.
Yeah, my wife did a team building exercise with the school a couple of days before school started, and
what's the thought behind mixing alcohol and axe throwing?
I don't
What's
know.
that?
It seems dangerous. To
Is there an order it has to take place? Like you must do your axe throwing before your beer.
Possibly, or I think with is almost more fun, and they actually tell you like certain shoes and stuff you have to wear, and that spawned another
open
thing.
toed, no good, because if you drop the axe,
I might lose a piggy.
Yeah, this little piggy got
exactly,
cut off at a bar.
Exactly, and that brings me to a couple of stories I saw the weekend. There is a Lizzie Borden museum, and down the street from the Lizzie Borden museum, there's a Lizzie Borden themed coffee shop, and they're having an argument because of the advertising between the two of them. And the thing that pops into my twisted little head is, how come we don't have a Lizzie Borden axe throwing bar? It would seem very on brand.
Holy smokes, that's
it's totally on brand. I mean, you could talk about certain dressing of the period, and there could be, it could be a really neat little odd twisted experience, but unfortunately, that's what my dark little mind does. But I think that's what we need to have.
I like that. I also like the idea of expanding this into different, if it's not genres, material to throw. Like you could have midget tossing. I don't know. Can you even say midget anymore on the radio?
I don't.
Axe tossing.
Yeah.
Yard darts. I was trying to describe yard darts to the neighbor kids and the neighbor. So the neighbor knows exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
I'm like, jarts, yard darts. And they're laughing. And the kids are like, what are those? I'm like, kids, you've been robbed of some of the great experiences of youth. And that is, you find a lead metal tipped piece of plastic that you wing in the air high enough to take down a small plane. And this thing comes careening into the earth and sticks in about 2 or 3 inches.
Yes.
And the risk is obvious, but that's what makes it fun.
Yes.
You know?
And all of us can still remember that sound, that as it hits the ground, that sound. You can still hear it in your head.
Yeah, the accuracy piece, like I bet I could, maybe that's where Graham would go with it. Like I can land it in this dot the size of a penny. But for me and my friends, it was who can throw this SOB as high as the sun.
Yes.
And invariably somebody's arch would get the better of them and it would go into the neighbor's yard. And for just a moment, you were like, I'm waiting for a scream or the sound of a dog whelping. You know,
exactly.
like
it hits the side of a tree or gets stuck in the roof.
Oh my gosh. And now you don't have them. They tried to recreate it with some sort of heavy plastic tip something. I'm like, listen, if you can't lose a friend in your youth to some sort of a toy, I don't know how you experience anything.
I know. I don't know that either. There's certain things, and like with kids today, God, I sound so old. In my day, the idea of like bike riding and stuff like that. The amount of cuts, scrapes, bruises, problems we got into with bikes.
What's
all the
a
time.
helmet?
Yeah,
what the hell's a helmet?
Oh yeah, I got that. I got that from my kids as we're growing up. Is we'd go out bike riding, and they were like, "Dad, aren't you gonna wear a helmet?" I'm like, "Listen, I've been doing it this long. Nothing else is going to help at this point." And they're like, "What?" And I'm like, "No, I've got thousands of hours on a bicycle. I'm going to be okay. And if I get hit hard enough that I'm going to fall down and bonk my noggin, I probably deserved it. And maybe I shouldn't survive."
I love that as a parent, I love seeing my kids protected.
Yeah.
And when they're learning how to skateboard or roller skate, the knee pads, the elbow pads, the wrist guards. And I'm thinking back to when we lived on a 7% grade hill and dudes learning to skateboard in shorts, probably tennis shoes and a t-shirt. Like, let's make sure we can hit a bush if we run out of control or something like that. A juniper.
I have scars because I was a skateboard kid. I put thousands of miles on my skateboard, ran through several decks, broke a couple, and several sets of wheels and bearings. And thousands of miles, and I didn't have any of the safety equipment. It's not because of my parents didn't love me, or we're actually thinking back on it. But we'll deal with that later. But the skateboard, all the scrapes, all the cuts, you learn that coming down those hills, you get the speed wave where it's wobbling back and forth. You got to ditch into the grass.
That's it.
You've got to know that.
You got to stop, drop, and roll, man. Right there.
Here's the thing: is I actually skateboarded at one point in my life routinely from about 6th and Chambers ish in Aurora, towards nearly downtown. That was not unusual for me to cover that distance.
A hell of a haul.
Yeah, but it was not unusual for me to cover that kind of distance on my skateboard.
And you were never robbed? No one stole your skateboard?
No, never did. No.
Huh? Because in this day and age, you go missing. You
know
what
exactly.
I mean? And not from the guy in the ice cream truck.
No, not at all.
Just because maybe they've sent you south of the border. You get sold into some kind of drug mule slavery. I don't know what it is. By the way, someone texting, tons of texts on this. Jarts, what an amazing memory from my teen years in Minnesota. That's right, man. Bring back the jarts.
Yeah.
This is something, I think Jeff hit it on the head, and he wasn't trying to be ironic, but he said, Dad, your biggest complaint is that we've moved to safety. And I'm like, yes,
Yeah,
that
in
is
some
my
ways,
big
yes.
complaint.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
Too much safety.
Yes, you guys you don't have that. You're not gun shy. You don't have that twitch. You don't have that extra twitch in you when you're like, this could kill me. And it's a self-preservation thing that you learn. And you're absolutely right. Those yard darts, the game wasn't to get it in the circle.
No.
The game was to throw it as high
Oh
in the
my
air as
God,
possible.
of course.
Because again, it also taught us we were learning physics at the same time
Right.
and math, because not only
Gravity,
how far it goes up there,
Yeah.
but then you also learned about trajectory.
Oh,
That
yeah.
sometimes when you
buddy.
see where it's coming down, you had to judge and you had to figure out how far away from your buddy you had to run, because you had no idea if it was going to have a little bit of an arc. Is it going to come back down? And you knew that even if it looked like he threw it straight up,
Oh, yeah, it's
that
never
thing
coming
can go
straight down.
15, 20 feet
No.
one way or the other. Yeah. So again, we were learning practical math and physics and things the kids just aren't exposed to.
By the way, think about that. What if we could incorporate that into Cinco de Mayo or any of the other gun shooting holidays where
Yeah.
people just fire rounds of the air? What if they were just throwing jarts? The
I
risk to
love
the
that idea.
public would be much less.
Yes.
Cinco de
exactly.
Mayo jarts
Oh,
or something.
It's a great idea.
We honor our friends south of the
Yeah.
border, and
you
we
know, you could
recognize
actually-
the great
You could
day.
do something right near the tip where, as it goes through the air, like, where it whistles sometimes, you could make it do a song.
I love the whistle idea too, like
Yeah.
a V2 or something
that.
coming in. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bam. Oh, buddy,
Yeah.
it's
Do you
true.
remember the little things, the metal things look like little bombs that you'd load a cap into, and then you
Mhm.
throw them at your friends and
Oh,
see
yeah.
if they could explode? Yeah.
Yeah.
I did that. Yeah.
The modern version of this is captured on
Yeah.
YouTube because my sons show me videos from time to time of kids who, if they were in any other species, would be eliminated from the gene pool. And these are the guys that like strap 400 bottle rockets to their chest or something like
Oh,
that. And
yeah,
like,
yeah.
you know what I'm talking about? Like they do all that stuff. Those guys are the guys that back in the day would have invented jarts.
Oh,
maybe with
absolutely.
an explosive tip, but
Yes.
something like that. Those are gone, man. We're becoming
yeah.
so safe.
Oh, I still remember that my buddies and I, we would play, as all boys did in our age, war. We'd had fights in the neighborhood. But we got the idea to take wood and carve out guns. And so we all carried around our own little model of gun.
Really?
Yeah. And one of my buddies is a really, really good artist. So he would downsize the models, but you'd have an M16, AK-47. You could pick what you
Really?
wanted. Uzis,
Guy
yeah.
was good with his wood, huh?
Really good. Yeah, that's yeah. And the funny thing is that I think back he lived next door, and his dad used to let us use his skill saw in order to cut those things by ourselves, unsupervised, and many times even without the safety goggles. And I just look back on that and going,
Yeah, what happened,
And
man?
I'm going, maybe he didn't like us as much. I thought he's the coolest dad ever, and I'm like, maybe he's thinking, maybe lose a finger and they don't come back and do this again.
I think
Yeah.
this is why we hear more and more so many stories. They used to be captured in those emails you'd get
Yeah.
called Darwin, whatever.
Oh yeah, Darwin Awards.
Yeah, but at this point now, you see stories about someone who is hiking along the rim of a volcano and they fall in, and you're like, it's because when you grew up, you were never taught to respect Mother Nature
Yeah.
or gravity
and
or
you
whatever.
were taking
You
a selfie.
You're taking a
Yeah.
You don't get it. It's because you never had jarts.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
It's just like George Carlin. He talks about, when we were growing up, the kid that ate too many marbles and died didn't grow up to have more kids. And that was natural selection.
Here's one. Would you please ask Billy if he knows why they thought taking a bunch of teachers someplace to practice throwing axes was a good idea?
The thing because it involved liquor.
The only thing missing were the students.
Yes, exactly.
Some sort of
Yeah.
that kind of lease is happening because of the losses homeowners have taken here and how friendly the laws are
Oh,
becoming to
interesting.
bad tenants. Oh, I believe that. Each clause in the lease has probably been added based on a situation they or someone else has dealt with. The good tenants, unfortunately, have to pay the price for the bad ones. Very, very true. They're trying to keep tenants or keep these landowners from running background checks to see if you've ever been a
What?
deadbeat or a criminal. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because the one thing as a landlord you don't want to know is whether or not the person you're renting to is a risk.
Or
That
registered
seems silly.
sex offender. Yeah. How have we become a society that when a handful of confused people complain about something like a song, we go ahead and ban it? Why do we allow this? This is the tyranny of the minority. Here's one. Let's see. Love the phrase DIA's vehicle equity program distributed stolen F-150s. to hundreds. Oh, Alexa, that is rich. There are about this. Well, unless the cartels are stealing 3 to 4 cars in a 3-month period, as Attorney General Phil Weiser has said, they don't warrant actually being detained. Here's another one. Our parents would always sharpen the lawn darts before we were allowed to play with them. Oh, where are you, 80s? Whatever happened to you? Those were the good days. Listen, I want to cut away for a break, and I want to get to the calls. Dwayne's calling in, some other numbers ringing. You can join him, 303-696-1971. We're going to get through the texts. Buddy, so far we have figured out a way to do a show about virtually nothing without referencing Donald Trump. Oh, there, I did it.
Seinfeld is jealous.
Yeah, I don't know what's happened here, but I love it. I mean, the feedback is cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. It's really good. Speaking of something that's not, though, let me tell you about QC Kinetics. And the reason it's important is every time I do one of those long runs I talked about in the 6 o'clock hour, that 12-miler yesterday, which was such a huge mistake. I told Billy, I'm walking down the hall to go grab some coffee because that's all we do. My hips, I still feel it in my hips. And I think to myself, pretty soon here, maybe right after this race, I'm going to have a long-term problem and I don't have any good solutions. I'm going to call our friends at QC Kinetics. Now, the QC Kinetics folks have figured out a way to give you that pain-free existence you used to call life before all the warranty stuff ran out on your body. They do it by using regenerative medicine. That's that cutting-edge technology you don't get in a lot of different places. Some places are still recommending lots of pills, lots of cutting on you. Not these guys. These guys are, hey, let me take you, get a needle, do some magic, and put you in you and fix you. How wonderful is that? No downtime. No long periods of rehabilitation, no risk of infection like you get when you're being cut open. Give them a call at 303-900-8986. 303-900-8986. That's 303-900-8986. Or you can check them out at qckinetics.com. That's QC, begins with a K, ends with an X, qckinetics.com. When we come back, Dwayne and everybody else on all the texts. It's George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.
Why should you buy your next vehicle at Castle Rock Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram? We make car shopping easy. We have a huge inventory of new and pre-owned vehicles. We can even custom order. We make it easy. Easy financing, friendly staff. And when it comes to quality service, our expert technicians keep your vehicle in top shape. Visit us today off of Highway 25 and Plum Creek, or shop online at castlerockcdjr.com. Castle Rock Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. Car shopping made easy. Why should you buy?
George Brauchler back with you here at 710 KNUS. Some texts. Another reason to mourn the 80s. The cops would do things like set up bait cars at the buffet, DIA, and attempt to catch car thieves. Any that resisted would be shot. I don't know if that's funny, but it certainly would be a warning to others. And then congratulations on a show without Orange Man. Let's get to the phone lines. Dwayne from Divide, you're on 710. Dwayne, what do you think, man?
Well, good morning, sir. The one thing about any car thief that's been shot, they won't do it again.
Well, it depends on where you shoot them, I suppose.
Well, you go for center mass. I mean, you and I are not talking.
The idea that these guys, maybe this is true. I don't know. Refer to DIA as the buffet, the car thieves. It's just like, it's embarrassing.
Well, yes.
Why can't DPD do something about it?
Well, really, do you want me to go into it now? Because
No. I want you to talk about your topic, man. What'd you call in for?
Well, a couple of things. One about the Jarts. I mean, I did know the professional Jart team. Blind Boy Billy, Chest Wound Steve, Stumpy Allen. I mean,
Oh yeah. We
they were
lost
out
another
there, but-
second grader.
Yes, these guys were in the 30s. It was just a terrible thing to watch. And like women's soccer, they didn't get paid much. They had to go back and do their jobs at 7-Eleven. So it was really not a good thing to see at all.
Did you partake in the Jarts?
Oh God, yes. I had all those things. I had, all the thrills and excitement of any kind of sport there was because, well, my mother had a simple policy. And did you have your Cheerios, hon? Yes, ma'am, I sure did.
Yeah.
All right, see you later. Click. And it was like, well, let's go out and find ways to bore ourselves now. Hey, I got $4. Let's go buy some fireworks. So,
Fireworks is another one. The things that we blew up in bottles here, there, and everywhere that you have to go to Wyoming to get. Wyoming, of course, is a Native American term for freedom.
Yes.
Is incredible. The things that have changed. We've talked about it before, but the seatbelts, Dwayne. I mean, when we were kids, I don't know why seatbelts were in cars. I couldn't tell you if they were in cars because you're climbing over the back seat to the front seat, sleeping in the back ledge of the window. I mean, we don't do that anymore. That's when Jeff was like, well, you're upset because we've moved to safety. And I'm like, in a way, yes. Yeah, couch back seats.
57 Mercury Turnpike Cruiser. My dad had bought it brand new, 3 years old. We were put up on the package tray back there, running up the New York thruway, 80 miles an hour on bi-ply tires with drum brakes, racing up the northern parts of New England. Of course, we only have 19 hours, so we've got to drive this entire thing of 18 hours in 6 hours back and forth. Get back in time so he can go back and do his work on the base. Oh, yeah. And, you hit the brakes and you come bouncing down the seat, bounce up to the ceiling, bounce down to the floor, bounce back onto the seat. Not even a concern. It was like, that guy got in my way.
Clearly, though, bad things happen to people, not us, that generated an industry-wide, if not nationwide, response. But we have become so safe. And if you want proof of that, try to go visit any tourist areas outside the United States. Their commitment to things like either ADA accessibility or OSHA standards is about zero, right? Like they will send you up a set of stairs that if you just misstep somewhere, you fall 100 feet. It doesn't matter. You went to the Vatican, brother, live with it,
Oh, yeah, see your blessing. The thing that's truly, terrible about it all is that when they started using hand sanitizer and everybody became allergic to peanuts. My little guy, when he was 3 years old, he was playing in dirt. My mom was sitting there going, what are you doing? I said, I want him to develop an immune system and let him run around in the forest and everything else. Now at 12, he's absolutely without any problem. He got COVID. COVID ran back going, I'm sorry, I'll never come back again. Please forgive me.
Dwayne, before I let you go, let me ask, we got a text in here from Alexa too about dodgeball welts. Do kids play dodgeball anymore?
He doesn't at his classroom because he's got a heck of an arm. But we would use those nubby balls with the really big nubs on the side, not the smooth ones. So it was a lot more impressive that way. So
I miss dodgeball. And listen, I know why we had to change this term. I get it. But back in the day, there was a game called Smear the Queer. Do you remember that? Where you would throw the ball up, some dude would grab it, and the minute that dude grabbed it, he became the guy you tried to crush. And I get why we had to change the name, completely insensitive and not at all applicable to modern times. But I don't even think we play the game anymore. I don't even know what you call it. Like you smear the kid with the ball would be fine for me, but I don't even think we play that out in playgrounds anymore.
Well, no, but I was in my mom's high heels with a purse, so I was always upset when that game came up in the first place.
That Jesus, Dwayne. Thank you, my man. Get back to that sports car. Dwayne's line is open 303-696-1971. The dodgeball thing is real. And remember, if you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. But I don't think I'm going to ask Graham and Jeff if they play those anymore. I don't think they do. I lived for that day. And not because I was like the dominant predator in dodgeball, but you just love the thrill of the competition, the slight light homage to violence there. The ball would maybe leave a welt, like Alexa pointed out, but I never saw anybody cart it off.
Yeah, we might have seen that a couple times.
Oh, really?
I still remember.
With the red rubber ball?
Oh, yeah. I still remember one kid got a really pretty serious concussion.
No!
Because what happened was, okay, he's on one side. So think about a giant V. So out on the edge of either side of the the side of the dodgeball court where the other people are. Yeah. And two balls come in. One hits him in the right side of his face, and the other one hits him just above the ankle on the left side. And he turns about, 45 degrees and wham, right on the ground. Yeah, just boom.
I do recall seeing dudes go down hard because at that certain age, there are kids that are still really light.
Oh, yeah.
And you can get some momentum going there. I always loved preying upon the ones that were distracted by somebody else. And that was it.
Yeah.
The flank shots, the bending down to pick up the ball, and you've got your head on a swivel, but it's just not enough. And you just get drilled. Now, the headshots, they had to rule out the headshots at some point. I sort of understand that. I don't think they should have eliminated them. They should just say, if you hit a dude in the head, you have to sit out or something until somebody catches a ball.
I got to get the phone here in a second. The thing for me, though, is that I started playing soccer real early. So when you get into that like middle school age and they're playing dodgeball, that was like taking candy from a baby. It wasn't the idea that I was throwing the ball very hard. That wasn't what I did. But you were not going to hit me. I have seen.
Well, you had the
thousands.
Speed.
The other thing though is I have seen thousands of soccer balls flying in different trajectories. So it was very easy for me to judge what was happening, and I only got in trouble when I would volley it with my foot back at the other guy and hit them hard. I knocked the wind out of several people doing that. The other one that was fun was kickball. Kickball was like
kickball was also awesome.
I was like, you guys are gonna run your butts off today because I'm gonna pound this ball so far beyond where you're gonna be able to catch it because those red rubber balls are so light.
Oh my gosh,
how they fly through the air! I'd seen hard leather balls just coming whoosh, for years. So dodgeball was like. Yeah, this is like, you might as well just get a bunch of Nerf balls. This is ridiculous, kids. But again, because soccer wasn't cool at the time. So it was this obscure sport that nobody else was playing. I got to talk to the phones.
All right, buddy. Hey, Jack, Billy's coming to you right now. Listen, some of the texts that have come in here, they used to have dodgeball at Jump Street. Not sure if they still do. I think they do. I was there within the last year for some kid's birthday party, and they were drilling each other with the balls while bouncing around. That's true. That is good stuff. Of course, you signed the 47-page electronic waiver where if your kid is like crippled by a collapsing ceiling, you can't sue anybody. Here's a texter. If idiots would invest in a car club, their car might be where they left it. It's a deterrent. Stupid. That's true. The car club is super painful. It's disappointing that we have to live in an environment where you have to go through such extreme things beyond locking your car because the police can't seem to get it done. And here's what we've got is a text that says DPD is short 35% at the airport. Plus, with technology thieves, they can steal cars in under 30 seconds. That is crazy. Here's another. They used to have, oh no, I just read that one. George, as a fellow Bear Creek Bear, I think the kids now play Smooth the LBGT +1 dash whatever. In the mid 80s, there was no PC. You were just out for blood. That's true. And maybe that's it. You get out that pent up aggression, in those explosive sports where you're able to bring just a little bit of sting to somebody. Hold on. Somebody texted in. Did you really say like taking corned beef from a baby? No,
I don't.
Candy, not corned beef. One, why is your baby eating corned beef? I mean, candy, I get, but that baby seems really upset, Marge. Let's break out the corned beef. Nick, it's just the corned beef. Jack, let me do this. Let me cut away for a break, and then I promise I'll come back to you. I just don't want to cut you off short. I want to have the conversation with you. So, Jack, and anyone else calling in at 303-696-1971, we'll finish strong here with you guys. Let me just tell you about a super lawyer, a guy named Dan Kaplis. You've heard him on the show. These are things I'd love to know about Dan. Dan, did you play dodgeball in school? How tall were you back in middle school and high school? Because if you were tall enough, you could get some real speed going in those balls, but the red rubber balls, but it also slowed you down a bit. You were a huge target, and jumping, you wanted the guy to leave the ground as your buddy was dinging him, hopefully in the knee/ankle area to try to break their drop down. And anyway, I would love to know that about Dan Kaplis. But in the legal field where dodgeball takes place in a courtroom, and the things that are being thrown are, evidence, cross-examination, objections, all that stuff. Dan is a wizard, and you can't dodge Dan's wrenches. He is a monkey wrench in the problem for insurance companies. So if you're a victim of someone's negligence, recklessness, sometimes intentional conduct, it doesn't matter if it's an individual, a company, a business of some kind. Trucking companies hate this guy. There's good reason for it. He holds them accountable. All you have to do is call him or his partner, Babar Waheed, who's been doing this thing forever too. You can give him a call at 303-770-5551, 303-770-5551, or check him out at dankaplis.law.com. Kaplis is C-A-P-L-S, dankaplis.law.com. When we come back, Jack, all the text, George Brauchler, 710 KNUS. George Brauchler back with you here, 710 KNUS. It's the final segment, but that doesn't mean we're free of the calls and the texts. We're going to keep working through those till the clock says you are done. Jack from Parker, you're on 710. What do you think?
Hey, George, how's
Hey,
it going?
Good, sir. What's your grievance?
Hey, I call them, you've heard about helicopter parents. I call them snowplow parents. And essentially, they blow every obstacle out of their kids' way, so they never learn how to struggle. And I coach youth baseball, and some of these kids, man, the minute that they have any type of disappointment, they just shut down.
The kids do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Jack, are you doing competitive baseball?
I am, yeah.
So it's tough, man. And I wonder if this leads to this other thing. We knew a kid who we were thinking of trying to get on the team. We played with him in Branson, which is a great place to go play. He had a great time, but at the end of the season decided, you know what? I think I'm done with baseball. So that's it. He's just done. He's moving on to golf. And I think some of it is what you talk about. Some of it's the pressure that they put on themselves and the parents do. But allowing adversity to run its course is kind of a big deal. How do you address that as a coach? I mean, you don't want to interfere with parenting, but do you ever pull them aside and go, "Hey, man, you're not helping"?
Yeah, I do that all the time, honestly. And I kind of warn the parents ahead of time that that's my philosophy, and try to get them on board with it before I do it. But regardless, part of my job as a coach is to help develop these boys into young men. So I got to do what I think is right. And baseball is a good little microcosm for life, and it helps you deal with that adversity really well, because that's really all the game is. So
what do you ever have such issues that parents say, "Hey, I'm taking my kid somewhere else"?
No, I've never had an issue like that. I actually have a saying that I say all the time. Every time there's like an error or a strikeout or something like that, I always say, who cares, back to work. And it's kind of infected some of the families in their homes, they tell me. So that at our end of the season party, they actually made me a shirt that said that. And so,
that's cool.
It's kind of it's helping the kids quite a bit deal with that, like failure and everything.
Sadly, Jack, Billy has now said that's the same motto they have at DIA parking. As the cars go missing, they go, "Oh, so what? Back to work."
Good one.
Jack, great call. Go Prime, my man. We'll see you out there we'll see you out there on the diamond. Jack's line is open 303-696-1971. We're going to try to get to the text here as well. Here's one: generations without lawn darts and Roman candles is how we got COVID lockdowns in compliance. Thus, a grievance against Dougco School District. Here's another one referencing the DIA thing. The salaries of all DPD officers at DIA comes from the DIA budget, not the Denver General Fund. So it's not a funding issue. DPD chief probably doesn't have the numbers to assign more officers there. Recruiting and retention problems. Man, that's disappointing. You'd think if you wanted to focus on something, you'd focus on the buffet of car theft. Here's another one. Billy, they're asking, can you start saying it's like taking corned beef from a baby? I guess we can start incorporating that in there. That's ridiculous. Why would you? I don't understand. I love corned beef, okay, but I'm not a baby. I've never even thought of giving corned beef to a baby. I'm not even entirely sure what it takes to make corned beef. I just love the sodium-laden deliciousness. Oh, my goodness gracious. Here was another one. When I was a kid, the physics laws had not been defined, so we didn't think lawn darts were unsafe. It was just it was like Newton. We were testing the limits of what the world offered us at the time. Oh, another one. This is a great one. This is an image somebody sent to me, texted in from Etsy. Wood burning. Where are the old wood burning sets? You'd get that little image on the cheap piece of wood and you would and invariably you would burn yourself because the little cork thing was never going to be big enough to protect you from your own physical judgment, which is just touch your face. Where is wood burning kits? That's what we should do, is we should end up having a show at some point on just all of the toys gone from and then they've changed Barbie now. Now we don't have the same Barbie we had, the same Ken we had. instead it just turns into all of these other safe pieces. I'm trying to think of all the other games that
George, there is a safety factor with those wood burning kits. And I think that's part of the problem we have an issue today with kids is because of the number of things that you would catch on fire, you would learn that smell. So then in the house later
there
on,
you go.
When things
Yeah.
were done, you're like, no,
that's my brother.
That smells like burning hair.
That's Eric.
Yeah, exactly. That's burning plastic. Yeah, it's like, okay, everybody out of the house. I mean, there was a safety factor there. We were learning certain things about chemistry, and then it made us safer later on because as soon as we smelled the smoke, we were like, yeah, that's not really dangerous. That'll go out in a few minutes.
No,
Yeah.
I
you also get to experiment with prison tattoos. You can
I also like that Jack helped us get to a new phrase I haven't heard, which is the snowplow parents, which is legit.
Yeah, I love that.
But in some ways, that's kind of what government has done with all this safety stuff too,
Very
right?
true.
We're protecting us from ourselves. I want to go back. I wish I'd asked you to do this to find the Dan Aykroyd piece.
Yeah.
Johnny Bag of Glass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't that just a bag of broken glass? No. It's a lot more than that. It's all the products that
Exactly.
Billy, once again, I look at the clock. I see that we have seconds remain. I have no idea what we've done this morning.
It was just like taking corned beef from a baby.
The new motto for the George Show at 710 KNUS, like taking corned beef from a baby. I presume they're going to let us back on the air tomorrow. We'll talk about some other relevant stuff. Stick around. George Brauchler, 710 KNUS.